Yes, right. Quite enough silliness already for one day, isn't it, staff? Welcome, welcome. Yours truly, the Field Marshal, in attendance. Not AWOL, like the other Field Marshals, Air Marshals and various marshals around here. A bit sad, really, isn't it, Ted? You can't get the help, you know. Currently, we also have my esteemed sister and two of her children here for several weeks. Hence the less being present online so that I can spend some time with them. Yes, pretty much that's the updates, really. Many of you have sent me messages about this particular individual here. He goes by the name of Hair Cafe. Apparently his name's Kevin. This is yet another bloke with absolutely no idea whatsoever of what he's talking about, no scientific training that I can discern whatsoever, and certainly no ability to critically analyse literature in a remotely competent fashion. Nonetheless, this is a bloke with an opinion, which he thinks for some reason is worth the rest of us hearing. Staff. Unbelievable, really. Of course, I've said it many times before, and I'll say it again for those of you that are new, which is nobody, because I'm not getting any coverage from the YouTubes. Thank you very much for the shadow banning. But anyway, I'll say it, because it's my thing. Opinions, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, staff, super intelligent shades of the colour yellow. Opinions are just like anal orifices, aren't they? In that almost everybody's got one, and it's full of shit. And this one, this boy, is so full of shit, so chock full of shit, that it's quite amazing. Let's see who's in the house before we start responding to Kevin and his ideas about, well, his video is entitled Why the Carnivore Diet is Unnatural and Unhealthy. So Kevin and I are going to get on just famously, aren't we? Well, you can tell already before we even get started. Yes, indeed, Teddy and waiting. Teddy is waiting. Yes, you meant ready, of course you did. But Teddy likes what you said the first time, don't you, Teddy? Anyway, you go down there and twiddle the knobs like a good boy. Make sure that the knobs are all well and truly twiddled. Twiddle, twiddle, twiddle. Good lad. Good boy. Right. Who else is in the house? Yeah, hello. Hello, the feral grandma. We love us some feral grandma up in here, don't we? Yes, we do. First in the house was Deborah. Well done, Deborah. You can claim your prize later. I don't know what it is yet. We'll work something out. Miss Patricia is all present, all of them. Good. Everybody's there. Creation over consumption. Well, speaking of creation over consumption, a new innovation here in the independent sovereign nation of Pimbatia, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, staff. This week, finally, after a long delay on the basis of some flooding events and, all sorts of things that were going on, a few days ago, finally, our solar array was turned on. Dum, dum, dum! And we are now generating electricity, catching the tricksy sunlight and turning it into electricity. It's amazing. That'll save us 2 and 6pence, won't it, Ted? Ted? He's busy twiddling the knobs, as he should be. The Grizzly Warrior is in the house. Good to see you. Good to see you. Joff's here. Good to see you, Joff. When are you and Field Marshal Dave gonna collectively come to Pimbatia? But the three of us could get into all sorts of trouble, couldn't we? Just imagine how much trouble the three of us could get into. We can't if you're not here, though. Oh, dear, oh, dear. Yes, dumb man. Am I? Good. Fully laden swallows can't wait. Good. Yes, get at it. Okay, rightio. That's enough saying who's in the house. Everybody's in the house. A bunch of bigots are up in here. It's all good. Right, let's crack on, shall we? Staff with Kevin and his, frankly, I am going to surmise quite ludicrous ideas about things. The usual caveats. Number one, I have not watched this video through. I do not know what Kev is going to say for sure, but I've got a pretty good idea because all of these absolute imbeciles have the same thing to say, don't they? That's why many of my videos are repeating the same information again. Because, well, I don't know, how many different ways can I say it? So I've just given up. I'm just going to say it the same way every time. That's what these guys do, so we might as well just respond the same way every time as well. Anyway, so I haven't watched it through, but I suspect that I will be able to respond off the cuff, and he's not going to catch me out on anything, because nobody has yet. And people with actual training have been trying to do that for decades. And this clown doesn't have any, so he's got no hope whatsoever. Perhaps he can bench press 415 pounds, in which case I'm in big trouble, aren't I, staff? Yes, all right, so let's hear all about it. Oh, other caveats. I will pause Kevin often to correct him because he will be wrong often. That's how things work here in Pimbatia. If that's triggering for you, if that's not your kind of bag, you're in the wrong place. Also, if you don't like people playing a bit of character acting, you're in the wrong place, aren't they, Ted? Yes! Good boy. Now I have to pay him his appearance fee. So you better all super chat me all your money. For that reason, and also because we have to pay for said solar panels, because they're not free. It's going to take us several years, actually, to get back to, you know, to the point where it becomes a profitable thing in the net, as it were. So, the other reason we need all your money is because, well, we need to fight the good fight, don't we? And it costs to do so. So send us all your money. That'll be appreciated. Yeah. All right, Kevin. Where are you? Here you are. Tell us all about it, though. Why is the carnivore diet unnatural and unhealthy? Off you go.
Sup, chooms? How y'all living? Hope everything is Nova and you're all having a preem week.
Oh my god. I hate him already.
Alright, chooms. It is time for another video on the carnivore diet.
Another one? Did you not cover it all in the first one? Or the second one, or however many you've done?
I hadn't intended to create another video about this subject, but since then, I have come across even more research which indisputably proves that human beings are not carnivores.
Okay, there you go. That's all we need to know about Kev. Kevin, you are an imbecile. You are singularly untrained in science. It is clear you have no idea what even science is or what its capabilities are or are not, because, son, there are no studies extant anywhere in the literature that irrefutably prove anything as regards human health outcomes, or any of that. All right? So, no, you're wrong right off the bat, straight off the bat. What you're saying to basically anyone who's stupid enough to listen to your ridiculous, pustulous, excremental garbage is basically that you are able to read some words on a page and you're too singularly lacking, too destitute of any comprehension of those actual words and their meaning to critically analyse them sufficiently to realise what a load of pustulous nonsense they are. It's very sad for you. Very sad indeed. Anyway, tell us more about it, though.
Rather, we are omnivores.
No, we're not. Well, here's the thing. You can define what an animal is, and humans are an animal. We're just a particular kind of animal. So anyone that says we're not animals and we're special in some way, no, we're not. We're animals. Okay? All animals are animals, aren't they? Including humans. We're not plants, are we? What you can do, though, is you can categorise an animal as an omnivore based on its behaviour, its eating habits, or you can class an animal as what it ideally is on the basis of its body structures, its metabolic pathways, its organ systems, etc. If you take the latter approach and you subject what is a human being morphologically, organ systems wise, metabolic processes wise, and indeed behaviour wise, right up to everything up to and including around about 11, 12, 13,000 years ago, depending what part of the world we're talking about, all of those things line up, Kevin. They all agree with each other, but they don't agree with you, Kevin. Humans absolutely have been, throughout our history, right up until the Agrarian Revolution, human beings absolutely have been and continue morphologically, biologically, and ideally to be obligate hyper-carnivores and not omnivores. Yes, we're able to eat some plant material and survive. It's one of the reasons that humans have survived a number of events in the past that other species didn't, because they weren't as flexible in what they can do and stay alive.
Or to be very specific, we are omnivores that lean towards a plant-based diet.
Absolutely, no, we're not. Complete, utter rubbish. nonsense. Quite where this idea comes from, I was going to say I have no idea, but I actually do have the idea of where it comes from, because I know, because I've actually read all the literature around this myself, and I do know where this idea comes from. And anyone who is stupid enough to suck that lollipop, frankly, is someone that does not bear the respect of listening to them. The only reason, Kevin, that we're listening to you at all is so that I can use your ridiculous nonsense, A, to point quite squarely to how stupid you are, how ignorant you are, and what an arrogance problem you've got, for the entertainment of my viewership, my audience who love this kind of stuff for some reason. That's the only reason that you've got any airtime here at all, sunshine. All right? It's because you are the laughing stock here. All right?
So, ever since doing research on my last couple...
Oh, doing research. Doing research were you, Kevin? No, you weren't. No. Research is what's done by scientists in laboratories. What you're doing is reviewing the research works of others and interpreting the words they've written on pages completely incompetently, from a standpoint of having absolutely no background or training in science of your own. What you're doing is espousing an ignorant, ill-informed opinion. And we've already covered opinions, haven't we, staff? I think we have.
Of carnivore diet videos, I've been thinking more deeply about this.
Oh, you've been thinking deeply. Good, good. Pity that such deep thinking is not rooted in having any background whatsoever upon which to place a foundation to be able to accurately think about this situation. How do I know? Well, because you've just said we're omnivores that lean towards a plant-based diet. No, we're not, Kevin. Wrong. In the last 11, 12,000 years, that's how humans have been behaving, some of them. But that's not a biological thing. That's a poor decision based on disinformation and programming of the public, right back starting around 11 or 12,000 years ago, where some smart aleck said, you know what? Chasing these animals around the plains and hunting them, it's a bit of a hassle, isn't it? Why don't we plant some grass and eat the seeds of those instead? See how that goes for us. It's the second worst thing we ever did, nutritionally, as a species. The worst thing we ever did was add any amount whatsoever of industrial seed oils to our diet. That was a bad idea. But only closely following that, another bad idea was to add the old plant material into the diet. Yes, yes, yes. Good morning, Alan Reed. Good morning. Welcome to the show. Okay, well, that's one of those opinions, isn't it? Yep. Australia's in the house. Hello, Queensland. You know that beer is spelled B-E-E-R, don't you, Queensland? Not with 4 X's. Okay? Just trying to help. Hello, this may be my first time here. You mean here as an H-E-R-E, or first time here as an H-E-A-R as you've spelt it? Don't know. Tabirs. Hello, toys from Tabirs. Right. No mercy for imbeciles, indeed, none. Yes, do like the video. It's important. Ah, yes, the bench press. Yes. Yes. Yes, Ted's busy. Ted is busy down there doing his... Good boy, Ted. Good boy. Yes, you keep doing that. It keeps the vibe of the show rolling. Yes. Right. Oh, look at that. Some money. Love it. There you go. There's some money. PLNs. What are those? I don't know. $11.99 of them. Anyway, thank you for those. Thank you very much. Here's some more monies. $59.99 of them. Excellent. Still no comment, but we'll take your PLNs, whatever those are, and we'll put them to good use of some kind. All right, Jonathan. Good to see you. Yes, very good. You are what you eat. I'm not what I eat. Sort of. I'd be in trouble if I was, perhaps. Ted is an animal. Yes, Ted is a real animal. You want to see him after hours. in his own time. Goodness gracious. You think he's bad on the X platform? Well, you would if you subscribed to Ted on the X platform and watched what he had to say. Ted will tell you all about next Tuesday. Often. I can't do a thing with him. And please, people, for goodness sake, stop saying that Ted on the X platform is yours truly. He's not me. I'm not him. See, look. Do we look alike? No. Do we share the same opinions on a number of things? Sure. He's a bit ruder than I am, though. Anyway, respect his identity, bigots. Ted identifies as a giant in the social media world, and as such, his pronouns are fee, fi, and faux fum, and stuff. Right, yes. The dose makes the poison by the poison. Yes, that's true. That is true. Yeah. What on earth are you people talking about in the background? Flopicus, I don't know. All right, anyway, let's get on with what Kevin has to say, because it's rubbish, and we need to deal with it before we all get too old.
Particular subject. Carnivore zealots on social media.
Carnivore zealots. There you go. That's put us in our place. We're all zealots.
Have completely dominated the health narrative for the past 5 years or so.
Absolute rubbish. We've been shadow banned to absolute hell. Dominated the social media landscape for the last 5 years. What a load of rubbish. While ever the pustulous, excremental, left-leaning, veg-tarded, veganerised Church of Anorexia Vegana has had free rein on the social media to do whatever they want. While ever we've been pushed back into the shadows by the shadow banners. Those people. Or Al Gore and his rhythms. Goodness gracious. Not a single fact right so far.
So much so that their narrative has now officially become mainstream.
Well, who says? Mainstream. Who's to decide what's the mainstream and what isn't? I always thought mainstream was the bit of urine in between the beginning and the end, but I'm told that's midstream. Whatever.
Especially with hugely popular influencers like Joe Rogan who promote the carnivore diet.
Okay, well, so?
Carnivore dieters like to think they're rebels, but they're not, because they control the narrative about health on social media.
Absolute rubbish. Nobody controls the narrative except those folks I've just named, Al Gore and his rhythms. That's where the control is. Those that get to decide what the acceptive narrative is and what we're allowed to hear and what has to hide in the shadows. Goodness gracious, what a load of rubbish. Although he's done a lot of research, clearly, and some deep thinking.
These days. Joe Rogan aside, some of the most popular influencers on social media promote the carnivore diet, like What I've Learned, Jordan Peterson and his trad thought daughter, as well as fake doctors like the Scientologist chiropractor Mr. Berg. However, the pendulum is now beginning to swing back in the other direction.
Again, according to whom? On the basis of what? Which pendulum is that?
And we're seeing more mainstream pushback against this dangerous pseudoscientific fad diet.
Right. So just say some words like dangerous, scientific, pseudoscientific, and fad, and that'll make your point much stronger, will it, Kevin? Well, number one, the carnivore diet is not dangerous. That's demonstrable. Number two, it's not pseudoscientific. The pseudoscience is actually that which is being espoused by the antithesists, i.e. the Church of Anorexia Vegana, and the pustulous, excremental, left-leaning nonsense that they espouse. And fad, well, a fad is something that's short-lived and that comes and goes, and that's kind of usually referred to as being a recent thing. Well, human beings have been eating almost nothing but the flesh and fat of animals for something like 5 million years, which also, therefore, includes the species that were not yet quite human immediately before the humans. So it's been going on for this is not a fad. Nothing remotely like a fad, in fact. But I'm glad you've done all your research and thought deeply about this, Kevin, and that I've just been confused for the last 30 years about things. Perhaps you can put me straight.
Including from media sources like...
If I was gay, you absolutely would put me straight, I can promise you. Luckily, I'm already straight. So that's not going to be a problem.
Like the Washington Post, the New York Times, and many other who are continuously reporting on newfound scientific data that absolutely crush the naive idea that the optimal human diet is just meat.
Yeah, you see, scientists don't use terminology like absolutely crushed. Scientists use terminology like the isotope testing, the stable isotope testing of nitrogen isotopes in the long bones of the collagen of humans and pre-humans found anywhere in the world, anything over 11,000 or so years old, all agree absolutely as to what the slam dunk, absolute diet of human beings has in fact been, Kevin. That's the slam dunk. That's the crushing of silly pseudo-scientific ideas that's out there, that's available. It seems you haven't seen that. Perhaps you haven't done enough research or thought deeply enough. If you had thought deeply enough, you'd realise that you're actually in no position whatsoever to come online and profess to know anything whatsoever about human nutrition, physiology, or any of that. You're an untrained buffhead. You're an imbecile who ought to actually remain silent.
So, since the carnivore diet's takeover of the wellness sphere on social media,
Yes, we've taken over. That's what we've done.
new anthropological research proves that human beings have never been carnivores
No,
at
it doesn't. Before you even try and tell us what you think that science is, that so-called absolutely proves that, I can correct you on that fact straight away, because it's false, Kevin. No, it doesn't. Not at all.
any point in their existence.
Rubbish.
We've always been an omnivorous species that
Nonsense. Unless you count less than 20% of the intake of so-called units of heat energy in the form of fibrous tubers from which we directly derived almost no nutrition whatsoever. In fact, we gained a small amount of short-chain, entirely saturated fatty acids from the fermentation of a small amount of that fibre in our enteric systems, which is kind of a vestigial ability that humans still have. Thank you for the $4.99 from whoever that is. I'll get to that soon.
evolved to eat both plants and animals. It's hard for me to take the carnivore diet seriously,
Well,
though.
who gives two rats' asses what you take seriously? You're an untrained imbecile with no idea what you're talking about, an overinflated ego, and a destitution of comprehension. And we are all laughing at you, Kevin.
Since it is fundamentally just a troll diet that was invented.
Oh, okay. Well, that's put me in my place. It's just a troll diet then. Okay. What do you think of that, Ted? Are you retarded? Ted, come on. Goodness gracious.
On 4chan to piss off vegans and environmentalists.
Yes, that's what we're here for. We're just to piss off vegans and environmentalists. That's just a bonus, actually, Kevin, that we get to do that. That's not why we're doing it. We're doing it because it is the species-appropriate, species-specific diet, demonstrably so, both in terms of the actual extant science, such that it is, i.e. the nitrogen testing, which was the absolute slam dunk and kingpin of the whole thing, and indeed all the anecdotes of people who have been eating this way, some of them for multiple decades, who have shown all the reasons why this is the absolutely indicated approach. But you haven't got to that in your deep research and deep thinking, have you? No, what you've done is you've listened to some ridiculous theologues because you lack the training, the skills, the discernment and the intelligence, frankly, to actually engage with this material on any level. And as such, you should really keep your ignorant, stinking, pustulous, excremental mouth shut, Kevin.
To be honest, I don't even really think that carnivore dieters believe in their own bullshit.
Well, that's another opinion, and it's false. We absolutely do believe in it because we know absolutely, both in terms of the science and the anecdotes of what happens to people that undertake such an approach, that it's absolutely correct. Whether you like that or not, Kevin, and whether you and your feeble little several brain cell mind can conceive of that or get your head around that or not. It makes no difference.
I think the vast majority of them are just sociopathic internet trolls and culture warriors who are promoting their diet as a stick it to the vegan libs gimmick.
Right, well, nobody gives two pustulous excremental rats bottoms what you think, Kevin. I thought you were here to tell us all the reasons why this was bad for us. Where's the science, son? Let's have some science.
But, just for the sake of argument,
Don't make that noise with your mouth. It's very, very irritating.
let's go ahead and pretend they're actually sincere in their beliefs that humans should eat.
Yes, let's pretend. Yes. Ted. I know, Ted. I know. It's tough, isn't it?
An all-meat diet because they really believe it is optimal for health and longevity and that humans evolved as a carnivorous species.
Well, you see, the nitrogen isotope testing, Kevin, absolutely establishes that as an irrefutable, unassailable fact. We're done. You lose, you're an idiot. You're an imbecile. You do not know what you're talking about. You have not done a comprehensive search of the literature. And even if you had done, you'd be incapable, actually, it seems, of remotely competently critically analysing it whatsoever. It's beyond a laugh that you think yourself an appropriate commentator on this subject. It would be like me coming online and saying, I'm a gynecologist now because I say so. No experience, but I'll take a look at it for you.
So, even if that is what they really believe, they're still completely wrong.
No, they're not, Kevin. You're completely wrong. Those are the facts, still.
So I am going to provide 10 reasons as to why human beings are not carnivores.
You mean you're going to give us 10 opinions, none of which are based in science, objective reality, or competently put together? We can't wait, can we, staff? I wonder if any of the 10 are things that none of us here in the carnivore community have ever heard before. Are you going to come up with something new? You're the one that's going to prove it finally, are you, Kevin? My God, what is wrong with you, son? Why is your ego so out of whack that you think you're going to be the one that's going to absolutely prove the point here when nobody, even the professors of the Church of Anorexia Vegana, the Walter Willits of the world, those kind of clowns, they haven't been able to do this, son? So what makes you think you're going to be capable of putting this together? What exactly? I wonder. Goodness gracious, Ted, we have a latecomer. Do we know what happens to latecomers here? Yes, you have to meet Ted down the back of class afterwards, where he will come up with some administrative correction for you. You'll know where he'll be. It's down the back there where that wetsuit with the bottom cut out of it is hanging up, right next to that bucket of soapy frogs. All right? See you down there after class, Steve. Well, Ted will. I won't be. I'm busy doing things. Right, Kevin, tell us more.
And have never been a carnivorous or meat-based species at any point in history.
Well, that's still false. It doesn't matter how many times you say humans have never been a carnivorous or meat-based species at any time in their history, Kevin. They absolutely have been. Nitrogen isotope testing, stable isotope testing, trophic level of human beings, all search terms that you should probably punch in to your favourite scientific database, if you even know what one of those is, Kevin, to find these papers that will absolutely establish this irrefutable, unassailable fact for you that you can't seem to get your head around. Sorry about that.
Or prehistory. So let's begin with number 10.
All right, we're going to count backwards. Excellent. I think I can cope. Can you cope, Ted? I'm not sure Ted can cope. He seems to have lost the plot. He's frantically twiddling the knobs right now. Good boy, Ted. You keep doing that. Right, number 10. Can't wait. What's number 10? Place your bets now. What is number 10?
Number 10 is the fact that plants have been a major part of the diet of humans throughout their entire existence at every time period and at every location they've ever been at.
Except the nitrogen isotope testing establishes, Kevin, irrefutably and unassailably that the statement you have just made is farcical, fallacious. That's a good word, isn't it? Fallacious. It means wrong, Kevin. It's not true what you've just said. And by the way, that's not a human on the screen there. That's a picture of some kind of hominin. Okay? So no, wrong. Number 10, false. Let's see if he gets any of these correct. I'm going to project up front, right ahead of time here, that he's not going to get a single thing right. So no. In fact, the exact numbers, Kevin, if you're interested, and I'm sure you're not, are these. By so-called units of heat energy, the so-called calorie, the intake of any kind of plant material whatsoever in the entire human background of every single human skeletal, long bone, collagen test that's ever been done anywhere on the planet, of any skeletal remains of any age, up to well over 110,000 years, actually, because it remains viable for that long, they all say the same thing. It's all within a 5% range, and it's like 15 to 20%, basically what seems to be fibrous, tubery things that were dug up and consumed, more so by females than by males, it seems. And usually when the males didn't come back with a successful haul of meat, it seems. bit of that's projection, but the fact is that's what the balance is in the isotopes, in the collagen, in the long bones, which tells us, without any question, what the humans did in fact eat, Kevin, still. Okay? So, I was going to say educate yourself, but I don't think that's possible. I really don't. In which case, really, the only sensible course of action available to you, Kevin, is shut the fuck up permanently. All right? In terms of your public protestations of making out that you're competent to talk about this at all, because you're not.
Eating plants is not some new development that happened only with the onset of agriculture about 12,000 years ago.
Nobody said it is. That's a straw man.
At the end of the last ice age, our earliest primate ancestors that we descended from were omnivores, just like we are today.
When was that, Kevin? I'll tell you, for those that don't know, it was more than 5 million years ago. Okay? Something like 4.5 to 5 million years, to be exact, is what's being projected out there by those that actually do understand the science. We stopped eating any significant amount of plant material other than that which I've already described about that long ago. Okay? And humans, actually modern humans, Homo sapiens sapiens, only started to walk this earth, it seems, somewhere between 300 and 350,000 years ago. All right?
Humans have always been omnivores, and
Now, it doesn't matter how many times you say humans have always been omnivores, Kevin, it is still a false statement. It still isn't true. The isotope testing still establishes absolutely, irrefutably, without any question whatsoever, that you are wrong in that assertion. It's false. Sorry about that. Not sorry.
so were all of our ancestors and closest relatives from the great ape kingdom.
Well, our closest relatives have no bearing on the behaviour of human beings. They have evolved in a parallel pathway, sure, from a common ancestor at some point, but they are not the same as us. If you look at the structure of the colons and cecums of all the primates as compared to humans, you will find that the human is a standout. We have a different setup. It's almost as if we've followed a completely different evolutionary pathway for, something like 5 million fucking years. Okay?
The balance between meat and plants in the diet has varied over the epochs depending on the availability of the two types of
Yeah,
food.
the word is epoch.
But humans were never exclusively carnivores at any point in human history.
Who said they were? I didn't. The science doesn't. The science says 80 to 85% in terms of heat units. Okay, that's hyper-carnivore. Nobody said 100%. At least nobody scientifically trained. Another straw man.
So, it really makes me wonder, where does this myth come from that early humans were apex predators who exclusively ate just raw meat and only relatively recently added plants to their diet?
Okay, again, nobody said exclusively, but the idea, this fallacious idea as you call it, that humans were apex predators, well, that's also established quite clearly in the anthropological record, sunshine. Whether you like that or not, it's still a fact. We started out as scavengers when we first started eating meat because we didn't quite have it together yet on the making of tools, weapons, the communication skills, all of that. We didn't quite yet have a brain that was quite enough to be able to tactically get that together. But what we could do is work together and scare lions and other similar animals off their kills and eat those. That's how we started. Then we evolved our ability to communicate, plan, strategize, make weapons, work together in large numbers, in a concerted fashion, all of that. Still a fact, Kevin. Doesn't matter whether you like that fact or not, or whether you can get your feeble brain around that, it's still an absolute fact that nobody, but nobody, with a competent faculty of reasoning would question even for a second. Okay?
Well, mostly it comes from a scientific paper from researchers at Tel Aviv University that was published in the year 2020.
Oh, right, so you're going to claim that what is basically an obvious, patent, and irrefutable fact is based entirely on a single paper published relatively recently by one research team. What have you been smoking, Kevin, and where can I get some? You fucking imbecile. You ridiculous buffhead. Carry on, though.
Researchers used stable isotopes and other evidence to conclude that over a period of 2 million years, early humans...
So they're the only research team that's done any nitrogen isotope testing, are they, Kevin? No. Go and do a search on this and you will find thousands of articles, all of which ostensibly agree. You absolute buffhead. You ridiculous clown.
Humans ate only meat.
No, that's not what the isotope testing says still. It still says 80 to 85%. Hey, so whoever told me that putting a period in front of the URL before playing the video prevents ads showing up on it? Nope, that doesn't work, because look, here's an ad.
Try Artlist's new AI voiceover model,
No,
and you'll be saying things like this real review.
The study got a lot of press in the mainstream media, and it caused carnivore dipshits all over social media to get...
Yeah, I think we all know who it is that is the dipshit here, Kevin. You absolute fucking imbecile son. Really? You know more about human history than people who are capable of conceiving of, putting together and testing their hypotheses using scientific methodologies, irrefutable scientific methodologies, such as stable isotope testing, to determine absolutely, unassailably, factually what it is in terms of the makeup that humans have eaten throughout their history. You fucking dipshit. You arrogant, egotistical turd.
super excited, and they started bringing this up as proof that humans are obligate carnivores. This is an...
Yep. Which it is. The reason they said that that's proof that we are obligate hyper-carnivores biologically is because that is what we are still.
Article that hypes up the results of the study from the Times of Israel, talking about prehistoric humans. The article says...
So now what you're going to do is review a Vox Pop review that somebody else has written of the article, rather than looking at the actual fucking article, Kevin. You're going to disclaim the science on the basis of somebody else's review of the science. Wow. That's some good sciencing there, Kev. I'm impressed. I'm convinced now I've been wrong for the last 30 years about my beliefs, and we should all kowtow to the great Hair Cafe Kevin. My word. Wow, I really would like to know what you've been smoking. I really would. Maybe Kevin is confused with what our ancestors were 6 to 8 million years ago when they split off from the Pan genus. I think Kevin's confused about a lot of things, frankly, and that's possibly one of them. You're quite right. Well, you should be. You should be with me on my channel, because while people are with me here on my channel, you also need to understand that under the laws of the independent sovereign nation of Pimbatia, that is immediately determined and deemed to be hate speech. And you know how we feel about hate speech. Rick, good to see you, mate. How's things going? Yes, imbeciles are everywhere, aren't they? Reporting for duty from California. Well, you're late. You know what it means when you're late? It means you meet Ted down the back of class afterwards. You won't be alone. There are others that are coming in late. And, well, you just need to be where that rampant wildebeest is tied up down the back there. Right. Ted is busy right at the moment. He's twiddling the knobs, aren't you, Ted? Good boy, good boy. Ah, dear, oh dear. Yes, hello, Anita. Good to have you in the house. Now, have you got your papers, yes?
The leader, Queer Starmer, says you must have your papers. Yes? It is for your safety. Do you have your papers, Anita?
Any of you that are British in any way, shape or form, you need to stand up. This is a test. You must not fail this test, Britons. Who are the Britons? We all are. And I'm your king. How'd you get that then? I didn't vote for you. You don't vote for king. Well, how'd you get that then? The Lady of the Lake, her arm clad in the purest shining semite, held forth Excalibur from the lake. Anyway, yes, you must stand up, Britons. You must not allow Queer Starmer to do what he's trying to do. Must not happen. Okay? You've been told. Right, what else is going on? Deviant behaviours are often fun for their own sake. Some of them, yes. But sometimes we have to contain our enthusiasm a bit. Do we? Do we really? Contain things? I don't know. I think we should not contain our rage against Queer Starmer and his bumboy mate, bloody whatever his name is, some irrelevant guy that used to be the PM. Blair, that's the one. Can the carnivore diet cure? Right, number one, this is not a Q&A session. I'm not doing those anymore because, well, number one, it doesn't get the viewer numbers, and number two, it's not financially viable to keep doing it. So, no more questions. Inga med frågor. Stick a brain. That's it. Done. But to answer your question, cure, it's too strong a statement. We can't say that it does. It certainly would, the thing is, whatever your condition is, the likelihood of it being self-resolving is higher if indeed you follow a species-appropriate, species-specific diet, which Kevin still is obligate hyper-carnivore. Okay? Do most animals eat meat? Yes, if it's put in front of them. There are not very many animals that don't. Yes. Indeed, ignorance is funny. That's why we take the piss out of it here on this channel. For our own edification and amusement, but also so that I can educate you all by subterfuge before you realise I've done it. Okay? Field Marshal, you are late to class. And you're AWOL. I had a good look around the property earlier this morning, and you're not here. Still. There's work to be done, Field Marshal. Why aren't you here? I don't remember signing any permission slips. Goodness gracious. Goodness gracious. You're so glad I'm on him. I'm not going to get on this guy. My word, no. Doesn't do it for me at all, even if I was that way inclined, which I'm not. Oh, new members. We love new members. Welcome. Welcome to the Meat Militia. Your first mission, soldier, is to binge watch all my stuff and promote it widely on your social media feeds so that others can discover me, because YouTube won't help in that respect. Yes. I presume you mean Kevin here. And you're right. You're right, Field Marshal. This is an absolute imbecile that... well, I'm not sure he even... I mean, lying would denote that he actually had enough critical thought ability and a malice of forethought to actually be able to put together a lie. I think this boy is just painfully stupid, Dave. I think that's what the problem is, frankly. Anyways, $4.99 from Juliet. Love you, Juliet. There's nothing you can do about it. Yes, that's why I'm here, to call that out. 5 Australian Pacific pesos. I'm an awesome man. Please never change. That's not what Pim says. Enjoy your beautiful day. It is a beautiful day, actually. We've had a lot of rain again recently. And I'm quite glad to see the sun, as is the solar panels that we had turned on this week. They're glad to see it too. Yes, you do have to love me. It's the law. Here in Pimbatia. Having had a stroke, I'm convinced my life is better because of carnivore. Yep. I hope to be able to walk straight again someday. Good. Let us know how it goes. Yes, let's pretend I didn't get off 4 asthma medications in just over 2 months and then continue to get stronger lungs every month thereafter for the next year. Presumably coincident with eating a species-appropriate, species-specific diet, you mean? Yes, let's pretend that didn't happen. Why not? Why not? Okay, oh yes, you don't want to be on the wrong side of a TED spanking. No, you don't. I promise you. Well, I've been told more than once by several people that they really would like to be. In which case, get yourself here to Pimbatia, we'll make it happen. All right? Anyway, let's hear some more from Kev, because we're not making much progress here. Neither is he, clearly, but that's not the point.
Oh, the species spent some 2 million years as hyper-carnivorous apex predators that ate mostly the meat of large animals.
Yes, fact.
Unquote. The researchers who are quoted in the article don't talk like neutral scientists. In fact, they don't...
Says this guy. Number one, Kevin, you are not a scientist at all of any kind, let alone a neutral one or a biased one. You are an untrained, egotistical little boy with an opinion. All right? Who ought to shut the fuck up. And number two, you are in no position to critically analyse the verbiage and communication style of any published scientist. You are out of your league, you are out of your depth, you are out of your lane. You have no business even attempting it.
sound much different from social media influencers who are
like yourself, you mean?
trying to stick it to vegans and vegetarians. For instance, one of them says...
That's all we're doing. We're just here to stick it to vegans and vegetarians. Never mind that it's a species-appropriate, species-specific diet demonstrably. Never mind that we're actually here to deal with health problems caused, it seems, by an inappropriate diet for our speciation based on disinformation. Never mind any of those good works that we do. We're just here to stick it to the vegans and the vegetarians. Right. Glad we've been put in our place then.
Quote,
There you go, boys and girls. Everything we're doing here is just for our own ends. We just want to stick it to people. Well, that's Ted in a nutshell, but that's for another day.
for many people today, the Paleolithic diet is a critical issue, not only with regard to the past, but
Yes, say it with a stupid voice and that will make it seem less credible.
also considering the present and future.
Oh, is that your normal voice? I apologise.
It is hard to convince a devout vegetarian that his or her ancestors were not vegetarians.
It's difficult to convince a devout anything that their ideas, their devoutly held ideas, are false. On any topic. One's belief about nutrition fits well into that theological gambit. Just as well as their belief in a God, whichever one that is, or a saviour, whichever one that is, or a virgin. You won't find one of those in New Zealand. Or Pimbatia. Well, you will at the moment, actually, because, well, a couple of my nieces are here. But they don't live here in Pimbatia. They will be exported at the end of their visit. Because our family are great, aren't they? When they can leave at the end of it. Love you. Love you all. I'm glad you're here.
And people tend to confuse personal beliefs with scientific reality.
Like you're doing, Kevin. Also, confusing yourself completely with someone who's remotely competent to talk about science. I see.
Unquote. So, right away, you could tell that this researcher is extremely biased.
Oh, right, unlike yourself, Kevin, who entitles his video 10 Reasons Why the Carnivore Diet is Unnatural and Unhealthy. That's not biased at all, is it? Especially considering no such reasons exist. We've only had one so far and it's been wrong. Okay, and there's going to be 9 more that are going to be wrong as well. Because you have no idea what you're talking about still. Your verbiage is entirely biased, isn't it, Sunshine? You're projecting, aren't you?
Has a very negative opinion about vegetarians. There are no
Quite rightly so. They're fucking imbeciles.
vegans or vegetarians who claim that our ancient ancestors never ate meat. So this argument
So fucking what? And actually nobody with any scientific training or capacity to understand what the nitrogen isotope testing does say, none of those people would say that we were 100% exclusive carnivores either, because we weren't. Still.
argument from this researcher is a straw man fallacy.
Ah, right. Unlike the 3 or 4 or 5 of those that you've already proffered up yourself, Kevin. You fucking imbecile. Wow! Isn't this fun, kids? And he's only on number 1. He's got 9 more of these.
What the study claims is that Homo erectus, the ancestor of the Homo sapiens, killed and ate the large animals available at the time,
Yes,
like
fact, they did.
woolly mammoths.
Yes, they did.
The researcher claims that it was only about 85,000 years ago when these large animals started dying out that humans transitioned to a more plant-based diet.
No, it wasn't 85,000 years ago that humans started eating more plants. It was about 11, 12 or 13, depending what part of the world you're talking about. Get your facts straight, son.
But it turns out that the actual research study doesn't even make claims as strong as what the article in the press reported, and their conclusions are completely
Well,
wrong.
why don't you critique the article, Kevin, instead of critiquing the critique of the article? No? Okay, do it. I'll tell you why he doesn't. Because you can't fucking read the article and understand it, probably. So all he can do is rely on other people's words and mindlessly parrot those as if he has any basis whatsoever, this absolute buffhead clown here, to make any statement whatsoever about science. Okay, well.
Anyways, here is the actual study.
Oh! Wow, fuck me. Let's hear that then.
Looking at the acknowledgments at the end of the study, it's clear that...
Right, so let's just go straight to the acknowledgements. Never mind anything that it says in the study. Again, Kevin, because you're completely incapable of understanding any of it, aren't you? But let's see what the acknowledgements say.
At least one of the authors has a bias towards fad diets since he is a writer for the paleodiet.com. Also,
Right, so that's the paleo. See, the clue there is in the title there, Kevin. The paleo diet. That means it's a diet that somewhat mimics a diet somewhat similar to what the Paleolithic people may have consumed. That's not a fad, is it? Because the Paleolithic period was some time ago. All right? And it went on for quite a while. Not a fad. See how that works? No? Okay. But once again, you know, the facts are just damned inconvenient for your entirely biased theological standpoint or sit point, aren't they?
right off the bat, the authors admit that humans have always been omnivores. They say,
No, humans have not always been omnivores. No. Humans are classified as hyper-carnivores. Hyper-carnivore doesn't mean they don't eat any plant material. It never has meant that. Still.
quote, humans have inarguably always been omnivores.
See, when you say inarguably like that, you need to back that up with something. When I say humans are inarguably hyper-carnivores, I do back it up. I say, look at the nitrogen isotope testing, which establishes us factually, unassailably, and irrefutably. That there is just a statement of opinion. Humans have inarguably always been omnivores feeding on more than one trophic level. Great. According to whom? On the basis of what? You see how that's different from my statement, which is backed up by more than one paper. By the way, this isn't the only paper on isotope testing, Kevin. Still, is it?
Feeding on more than one trophic level, unquote. Of course, no one from the carnivore community is ever going to quote that line from the study.
Why not? I'll tell you why not. Because it's an opinion statement, Kevin. It's not a factual statement. It's nonsense. Written by those authors, probably under the influence of some editor who told them they had to put that in there. If you'd ever actually been involved in research, Kevin, you'd know what kind of pressure editors can place on researchers to say all sorts of things that they don't actually want to say or whatever in order just to get their stuff through.
The article goes through the usual arguments that humans have some anatomical features allowing the digestion of meat, such
Yeah, it's amazing that we have some of those on the basis that that is demonstrably, absolutely and unassailable what we did eat, isn't it? Oh my God. The problem with that statement there, Andre, is that what you're assuming there is that Kevin has more than one functioning brain cell. I'm actually stunned, frankly, that what with his lack of clear mental acuity and capacity, I'm actually stunned that Kevin doesn't just simply forget to breathe and die, frankly. But that's for another day. Thank you for watching the link that I sent you. You're welcome. You're welcome. I haven't watched it. I'm watching it for the first time now. I don't know what he's going to... Well, I do know what he's going to say, but I haven't seen it. Yeah. Right. Go on, Kev.
Just the acidity of the stomach and the length of the intestine.
Right, just those two, is it? Nothing else? Fucking idiot.
Of course, that only argues against humans being pure herbivores, which no one
The word is herbivore. There's an H in front of it. It's there for a reason.
is arguing, not even vegans. The fact is that humans can digest both meat and plants, and that is consistent with humans being...
Well, in fact, humans can digest meat and animal fat and certain aspects of some of the materials that they can derive sometimes from plants, is a more accurate statement. We can subsist on an amount of plant material, and the kind of plant material that we can subsist on, by the way, Kevin, you'll find is all the modern stuff that's been actually selectively bred. Plant husbandry has been going on for quite some time. None of these things are actually naturally occurring plants. Sorry about those facts again, though.
Omnivores. Anyways, all these anatomical arguments were presented in a video by the Steak and Butter Gal, which I already completely debunked. And
No, you didn't. Not at all, Kevin. That's your opinion again. Okay? No, you didn't at all, in fact.
link that video below. But to put it very briefly, humans have a high stomach acid precisely because they were not apex predators.
Oh, of course. Wow. Every herbivore on the planet, Kevin, has a much lower stomach acidity than every animal on the planet that consumes any amount of meat, whether they hunted that meat or whether they scavenged it. So I'm fascinated to see how this logic's going to fall together.
The meat early human beings ate was carrion meat.
That's right. I said that before because it was a fact and still is a fact.
Meaning leftover meat that other real predators killed.
Oh, yes, real predators. Right. What's a predator, Kevin? That would be an animal that kills and eats other animals. Do human beings do that? To any degree? At all? Shut the fuck up, you fucking imbecile. You ridiculous cunt.
Carrion is full of bacteria, and so the stomach acid evolved to become stronger to kill that bacteria. In fact, there are still human beings today who eat carrion.
Yes, absolutely, that's true. You got something right, Kevin, congratulations, but that has no impact on the statement that human beings are obligate hyper-carnivores. You're making this argument as if it debunks some argument that we are. No, it supports it, 100%. Unequivocally, and you're too stupid to see that actually what you're arguing is you're arguing in favour. Wow, I mean, that's stupid, isn't it, boys and girls? There's stupid, and then there's Kevin level stupid.
Like RFK.
Remember when I had that debate or series of debates with Kevin Bass? Is everyone called Kevin stupid? I'm just being flippant now.
Jr., who admits that he eats roadkill. As far as the length of the intestine in humans, it is in between the length of the intestine of true carnivores and true herbivores, so it is consistent with humans being omnivores. I'll go ahead and link my video response to the Butter Gal.
Yeah, also we don't have sharp pointy teeth like this, so we can't possibly be carnivores, can we, Kevin? You fucking idiot. Oh my God, is it possible? Is it remotely possible to be as stupid as this motherfucker is? Clearly it is, because this motherfucker's pretty stupid, isn't he? Ah, King Harrylouse of Tasmania. Good to see you in the house. I see you're dealing with another ignorant buffoon. Yes, I am. There's a lot of them around. There's a lot of them around, Harrylouse. This one takes the cake. Yes, and lots of plant material as well. He loves it. He thinks we're omnivores, Harry. Anyways, there we go. If only he knew the difference between a vestigial appendix and a cecum, or even the fact that we don't have cellulase enzyme for cellulose, or indeed if he had more than 3 brain cells to rub together. That'd be good too. He clearly doesn't. That's an opinion. Do you see how that's an opinion? You're probably right, but that's an opinion. We're here to deal with science. Steak and butter gal is not much better than this imbecile. Is she not? She's lovely. I like her a lot. We've met. She's a cool chick. Yeah, but I wouldn't actually rely on her for scientific acumen because that's not her bag. That's not her background. Her background is as a concert pianist. And she's very good. Very good. And she's also taught herself a lot about the carnivore diet, having been a proponent of it and having been living that life for some time. But no, I wouldn't, if you want scientific rigour, this is where you come, to this channel. I'm the science, trust me, I'm safe and effective. Don't question the science. Because it's hate speech if you do, isn't it? Yes. Well, you're very late, it seems. This has been very awesome already for nearly an hour. And we're still only on number 1 of 10 reasons why the carnivore diet is unnatural and unhealthy, according to this absolute cocksplat, this absolute fuck lunch. All right. Anyway, right, go on then, fuck lunch.
Below that I already mentioned, and so go ahead and watch that if you're interested in more details on this.
We won't be watching any of your videos of our own accord. Okay, we're only going to watch them here in order to debunk your ridiculous, stupid, anti-scientific, ignorant, ego-driven nonsense. Shithead.
Particular subject. But rather than revisit all those arguments, what I want to focus on today is the part of the study that got the most attention.
Good.
Which is a section on using stable isotopes to estimate the amount of meats ancient humans consumed. So here's the...
It's not an estimate, though, really. It's a clear statement backed up by a pretty well irrefutable scientific methodology, which you'd be incapable of understanding, Kevin.
Way these isotope measurements are supposed to work. The ratio of 2 stable isotopes of nitrogen was measured in fossilized collagen from ancient human bones.
Yes.
This ratio is higher in animal protein than in plants. So the higher the ratio of these stable isotopes, the more animal protein was consumed.
Which, though, Kevin? Which one is the one that's higher and which is the one that's lower? Do you even know that? Because if you don't, you've got no business talking about this whatsoever.
Based on these measurements, the authors of the study concluded that early humans were hyper-carnivores, meaning that at least 70% of their diet was from meat.
No, that's not what the studies say at large across this field of study, which is many more than this one study, by the way. It's all about a 5% range, 80 to 85% in fact. So you haven't even got the basic numbers right, let alone which of the isotopes is more prevalent in a carnivorous animal than the other. And yet... you want to sit there and tell us that it's nonsense somehow. I can't wait for this.
Not knowing what's going on in my
But I
business,
will be waiting for this
that's
because
what
it'll be
keeps me up
another
at
ad.
night. The fact that we run on Monday.com and that it...
Of course, if that were true, that would still make them omnivores. But in reality...
Nobody said at any point that human beings at any stage have been 100% carnivorous. Nobody that knows anything about this has said that. Still a straw man. Remember the straw man, the thing you brought up before, and you said, oh, straw man. You've dropped about 5 or 6 straw men yourself, you ridiculous fucking turd. Haven't you? Come and debate me face to face, buffhead. That'll be fun.
The data is so flawed that it's impossible to draw the conclusion that...
How do you know, son? You've got no scientific training of any kind, it seems. How do you know what's flawed and not flawed? Please explain how I'm supposed to take you seriously as a critiquer of science or a commentator on science. Shall we wait for that?
These early humans ate so much meat. One of the big problems with these isotope tests is that they measure the isotope in protein, and plants contain less protein than meat.
Ah, well, that's one of the reasons it works, isn't it, dickhead?
The majority of calories from plants come from carbohydrates, so...
Calories, you say, well, there you go. If there was any doubt whatsoever that this buffhead has got absolutely no credibility whatsoever, there it is. Calories, he said. Okay. How are calories manifest, Kevin? In our objective reality? No? Okay. Please tell us about the science, though.
This stable isotope method underestimates the amount of plants eaten since it only accounts for protein levels and not things like carbohydrates.
No, it doesn't, you absolute ridiculous twat. See, that's a complete misunderstanding, a total misunderstanding even of what was done. Wow. It's just saying words because you feel like it. This is not a measurement of the amount of protein that animals ate. It's a measurement of what the source of that protein was. It's a ratio between different isotopes. Kevin. This is like sitting here so-called debating with Richard Burgess, aka Vegan Gains, who wanted to sit there and tell me all about how absolutely in the Mendelian randomization the subjects had their cholesterol levels measured. No, Richard, they didn't. Not one of them. There are no measurements taken on these individuals, none. And yet the study talks about the effect of something that has not been measured on an outcome, which has also not been measured. But they did measure it, said Richard. And I said, no, they didn't, Richard, still. Doesn't matter how many times you say they measured it, they still fucking didn't. One of us is competent to read science and understand what was done. And one of us is you, Kevin. Please come and debate me face to face. Both our audiences would love it.
Even the authors of the study spend almost as much time talking about the limitations of these isotope techniques than they do about the results of the test.
Do you see how that's also an opinion? And do you want to outline some of these limitations for us and do it accurately and scientifically, Kevin? Shall we wait for that? I'm glad that you're enjoying it. Just quietly between you and I, it's a bit of an act. You can tell it's a bit of an act because I've got this costume on and I'm waving around this thing and pretending to be some general staff member of a pretend organisation called the Meat Militia. Nonetheless, what I'm actually saying is correct and I'm educating you by subterfuge. You just don't realise I'm doing it. I'm doing it using edutainment. And dropping the odd F-bomb and stuff like that. You know, it gets people's attention. It's a hook. But what I'm saying is correct. You're free to disagree, but again, don't forget that that's hate speech. Goodness gracious, you're late. Mind crash? Report to Ted after class. Ted? Sir! We need to deal with Minecraft after class. Sir! Yes, sir! Down the back, soldier! After class! Beside the bucket of soapy frogs. There you go. You've been told. That's what you do. All right, tell us all about these limitations, Kev. Are we really still on number one reason why the carnivore diet is unhealthy? Which, by the way, what was number one? Humans have never been hyper-carnivores, according to Kevin, which is false. They have, absolutely. But even if that's not so, does that mean eating that way is definitely unhealthy and unnatural? Seems a bit vacuous at best, doesn't it? Go on though, Kev.
One limitation is that the nitrogen isotope levels vary in plants and animals at different times and at different geographical locations.
Yeah, and the great thing is that given that that's a known fact, Kevin, adjustments can be made on that basis with that knowledge, can't they? Like, for example, not related to humans, but, you know, it's something else related to nitrogen testing. They found a species of deer with a higher nitrogen 14-15 ratio than even humans. And a lot of people are throwing that out there as a reason to suggest that the human result is therefore invalid. Because look, it's obvious that the deer isn't more carnivorous than a human being. So what are we talking about? This is ridiculous, these people said. Turns out the reason for their nitrogen level was because those deer were eating a lot of lichen of a particular species that caused that to occur. Well, we know that doesn't apply to humans, don't we? Because, well, I challenge you, any humans out there? Are there any humans watching? Please do try and get some nutrition by eating a bunch of lichen. Off you go. Fucking imbeciles. This is why I have so little patience with imbeciles. Because they lack the ability to critically analyse what's put in front of them and actually think about it and see whether or not it actually holds any water. Yeah. Okay. Where is Joey Shun? Who's Joey Shun? Apparently Joey Shun got owned. I don't know who Joey Shun is, frankly. No, lickin' lichen. No, don't be lickin' lichen. You won't get much from it. Right, there are 200 people watching. Are there 200 likes on the stream? If not, make that so. Immediately, soldiers. That's your orders. I won't say another word until it's done. We can wait. Also, do we have 200 super chats? Ted has a very expensive appearance fee. I have to pay him. Ted thinks he's important because his other gig is doing the voice for the fictional character Brian Blessed. He's quite famous, actually. Dumb fuckery, yes. My impatience with dumb fuckery, yes. I tell you who else finds it refreshing. Have a look on my channel. There's a short there where there's a bit of a statement made by Dr. Ken Berry and his lovely wife about who finds me refreshing. It's quite good. All right. Well, we won't wait for all the likes and super chats because we'll be waiting all fucking day, won't we? Freeloaders. Right. Let's move on.
Also, the tests have been done only on a small number of early humans, and there's a lot of variability between individuals in the accumulation of the isotope.
No, there isn't. That's the whole point, Kevin. See, once again, you have completely incompetently read that. No, there isn't a lot of variation. Every single test done from anywhere on the planet of any age whatsoever have all come back within a 5% range. All of them. That's the range. That's not the standard deviation. That's the total range. Okay, it's very, very consistent. What does King Harry have to say? All species have been observed to eat some non-species appropriate foods. Yes, correct. Does that overturn their digestive system? Hell no. Correct. Well done, Harry. Carry on. As you were, soldier. You broke your thumb. That's sad. Are you a vegan? I'm kidding. You'd be breaking your thumb hitting the unlike if you were, wouldn't you? Yes. I think I've said words to that effect already, Dave. I agree. Should. All right, anyway, come on. Yes, you're in great company. Ted is good company at all times. Ted's the life of the party. Right, anyway, tell us more about isotope testing. Go on.
Finally, cooking meat will artificially increase the amount of this isotope and will therefore overestimate the amount of meat consumption since early humans have been cooking meat for hundreds of thousands of years.
Indeed. Exactly how long though, Kevin? And is that something that we can adjust for? In terms of suggesting what the trophic level of a human being is? It is, isn't it? Whoops.
Also, even though the authors are claiming that humans were hyper-carnivores over a period
They're not claiming it, son. They're stating it outright, and they're providing the evidence that it was so. The unassailable, irrefutable evidence that it is so. You might notice, Kevin, that in a scientific paper, Kevin, it behooves the scientists to outline every possible limitation, no matter how inane. And that's what they've done in this paper, precisely, Kevin, not to point to how bad this is, but to point to how good it is. Because every single one of these is inane and has no real effect on the interpretation of the data. Black dye, super sticker, thank you. I can't see what it is on the screen. It's probably a dancing pear, which is ironic, isn't it? Something like that. A couple of dollars from the Feral Grandma. We love that. We love it. Keep it coming with the super chats, folks. It's very expensive to repair a farm from floods and put up solar panels and pay Ted.
2 million years. Their isotope data only comes from 45 to 50,000 years ago.
That's not true either, because there are a whole bunch of other papers out there, Kevin, that have been done, Kevin, in this field, not just this one study, this is a field, and, you know, well over 100,000 years worth is available. and no indication whatsoever of a change during that time. Ergo, it would seem safe to extrapolate back to some degree, wouldn't it? Okay? All right.
Since the fossilized collagen that they are measuring breaks down after that amount of time. But the authors of the study actually claim that this period of hyper-carnivorism ended 85,000 years ago when humans increased the amount of plants in their diet. So,
but that's wrong, still. It was still 11, 12, or 13,000 years ago that the agrarian revolution occurred, and a significant increase in the uptake of plant material occurred. Still. Bad idea to follow an omnivorous diet, indeed. Because the Randall cycle is a thing. There you go. It is. You're right. Yes. Yes. That's right. Knob twiddling is not cheap when you have to pay for it. Right.
this data from 50,000 years ago doesn't even apply to the time period that they are claiming is when humans were hyper-carnivores. So this research is...
So this imbecile here is completely incapable of understanding the inference that's been made. Thank you very much, fully laden swallow. What's your favourite colour? Yeah, this is just noise. This is just ridiculous noise from an imbecile. This is not a valid argument. It does not undermine the absolutely rock-solid inference made by the stable isotope testing at large. This is a boy taking some words out of a paper without any understanding of what those words really mean, what their application to the situation at hand is or is not. This is a boy, a theologically driven boy, with an opinion. Thank you, King Herolaus of Tasmania. He's gone into the Tasmanian Fort Knox and drawn out 10 Pacific pesos for Ted. Good. A bit of love from Tassie. We love us a bit of Tassie. Nothing like a good map of Tasmania. Is there, Harry? Yes. Very good. Appreciate that.
It's not much more than a potential script for a Buttergirl video, to be honest, and the conclusions of the study have...
Right, so just inane opinions from a fuck splat. You're a complete shit stain and nothing more, Kevin. You've got nothing of any value to add here. You're just an imbecile. Learn your place.
Already been debunked by much better research.
Again, see how that's an opinion? Opinion.
We now have good data that proves that plants have always formed a very large part of the human diet.
Again, good data. According to whom, Kevin? On the basis of what? And should we take your word that the data is good because of all of that training in science and statistical inference that you don't have? Oh. Okay. Thank you, Juliet. Carrying more than your fair share of the burden as usual. Come on, folks. Support Juliet in her attempts to keep this channel alive and vibrant. Yeah. Indeed. If there's good data, let's see it. Good data according to whom? On the basis of what?
Including during the period that these authors claim that humans were hyper-carnivores.
All right, so there were experiments done by scientists back 85,000 years ago, were there? So let's hoist you with your own petard. There it is. Let's hear about your good data, though.
First, we have this study here that shows that early humans used stone tools to prepare plants for eating as early as 780,000 years ago.
Great. How many plants? In what proportion? No? So that won't work, will it?
The authors of the study point out that there is a bias towards overestimating meat consumption.
Okay, according to whom? On the basis of what? According to these authors, fine, that they wrote the words in their paper that said that. Is there any reason to suspect these authors might have a bias of their own? Perhaps you should read the whole thing. I did.
But examining the archaeological sites of prehistoric humans.
Some of them, you mean? Okay, yeah. But did they go around every single campsite of all humans from time immemorial? No.
That's because animal food leaves behind traces that don't degrade, like bones. Plant matter on the other...
Bones, in fact, do degrade. Buffhead.
hand easily deteriorates and disappears without leaving behind a trace. So it leaves behind a lot less evidence
But
than
it does, though, because it's so indigestible and passes out in an indigested form. Human feces full of fibre have been found, fossilised, and buffheads from your side of the theological divide, dickhead, are claiming that's absolute proof that humans ate almost nothing but fibre as food. When in fact a shit that's full of protein is going to degrade very, very quickly, isn't it? Same argument. Right? Only I'm not putting that forward because I'm not a fucking imbecile like you are. An imbecile who wants to push a theological standpoint without balance. While ever claiming that those that espouse any opinion different from your own are showing a lack of balance. You absolute hypocritical cocksplat. You fucking waste of skin. Thank you for the $20 US. Appreciate those very much. Love the banana beret. This is not a banana beret. This is a Pimbatian member of the General Staff beret is what it is. Right. No bias, eh, Kevin? Yeah, none at all. No bias. Good, good. Let's make some progress.
meat does. This is one reason some people have claimed that prehistoric humans ate mostly meat, but that is misleading.
No, it isn't, because the nitrogen 14-15 stable isotope testing establishes unequivocally that it is, Kevin, still an absolutely irrefutable, unassailable fact, whether you like that or not, still. Okay?
So, to overcome this bias,
Yes, the bias, good.
researchers examined under a microscope the tools used by early humans and found abundant traces of many different types of plant matter wedged in the crevices of these tools.
So, does that tell us how much plant material the humans ate? No. Does the nitrogen 14-15 isotope testing do a much better job of that? On the basis that the way we get a difference in the ratio of those isotopes is by eating either plant-based protein or animal-based protein, Kevin? And it's about the ratio and it's not about the amount, still? Is that how it works? Yes, it is. Okay, good.
The research implies that in
Good, implications. We love implications, don't we? Or are they inferences?
contrast to what the carnivore gurus like to say, it is actually carbohydrates from plants that were necessary to drive the evolution of our increasingly large brains back then.
Okay, so that's an opinion, isn't it? See that? That is a statement made by somebody else other than the authors of this paper and referenced as such, Hardy and co-workers, reference number 44. Did you read reference number 44, Kevin? Did you critically, competently analyse reference number 44 as a trained scientist, Kevin? No, that's impossible because you're fucking not one, are you? I did. It's an opinion. Okay?
The authors conclude, quote,
This is your brain when you're struggling to focus. And
That's
this
Kevin's
is your
brain.
brain when you're in the zone.
That's my brain.
But getting in the zone and staying there, that feels more like luck than something.
No.
Our results indicate that lower Paleolithic Acheulean hominins invested time and labor in preparing a variety of plant foods in ways that increased their edibility and nutritional quality.
Does that mean that they were vital for the development of our brains? Even if that were true? Or is this just part of your ridiculous theological standpoint that's based on nothing but ignorance? What do you think, staff? Comment below the video, both now in the live chat and also later when it becomes a pre-recorded video on my channel. Make sure you make some commentary under there as well. Helps Al Gore with his rhythms.
These results emphasize the advanced cognitive abilities of the GBY hominids, adding unmatched evidence for the role of plant processing and consumption, a domain scarcely known but clearly a major component of the diet of our early ancestors.
Right, so once again, more opinions. Good. We love opinions, don't we? Just like arseholes. Most people have got at least one and it's full of shit. Humans didn't use weapons to hack and slash plants and bushes. Is that right? Or is that an opinion too? They probably did, in fact.
Unquote. So if that's not enough evidence,
That's not. It's no evidence at all. That's a bunch of people's opinions, Kevin. None of it underpinned by experimental, scientific, empirical data. It's opinions. So it's not enough evidence of anything. Tell you what though, nitrogen 14-15 isotope testing is not an opinion. These are numbers derived by experimental scientific inquiry, underpinned by good, robust methodology. Sorry about that. Not sorry.
There's also an even more recently published study that goes back even further to two...
No, it doesn't. It doesn't at all, in fact. This is a paper, an opinion piece, not an experiment, written very recently, in fact. Oh, some New Zealand Pacific pesos. We like those too. Good. Thank you very much for the 5 New Zealand Pacific pesos.
Million years ago.
No, see, this paper wasn't written several million years ago. This is an opinion piece written very recently. Do you see the difference? Those of us with brain cells do.
Researchers in this study overcame the limitations of the stable isotope study
Good. I'm glad they managed that.
already went over. That study can
How
only...
did they do that, Kevin? Do you want to explain that to us? Put your vote below as to whether or not Kevin's going to establish that these authors that wrote this opinion piece overcame the limitations of the actual scientists that did actual experimental interventional science on some actual collagen found in some actual long bones and derived the ratio of the stable isotopes that they're in. How was that overcome? By having an opinion, I wonder.
Go back 50,000 years because collagen deteriorates over that period of time.
Yeah, you've already said that it was wrong the first time because we now have viable stable isotope data for well over 110,000 years, Kevin. So sorry about that.
However, in this new study, the nitrogen...
No, it's not a new... Wait, there you go. Either it goes back millions of years or it's a new study. It's actually not a study, it's an opinion piece. Kevin, what was the experimental intervention that these clowns undertook?
Isotopes are analyzed in the enamel of teeth, which is preserved for millions of years. Using this analysis, the study concluded that our earliest ancestors who lived up to 2 million years ago did not consume substantial quantities of meat. So, during this long...
You mean the ones in the teeth that they found in one particular group? Tell you what, when there's as much nitrogen testing of the collagen found in the dentition as there is for the long bones, then we might be able to adjust our time frames. Nonetheless, it doesn't change the fact that, Kevin, what you're now doing is putting forward stable isotope testing as good and viable because it agrees with what you want it to, or so you say it does, whereas the same technology, testing stable isotopes from somewhere different, long bones, was just rubbish. Do you see how that's a problem for you? Which is it, Kevin? Is this a good technique that we can rely on, or is it just nonsense? I'm confused. I wish I wasn't so stupid and so easily confused. Tell us all about science, though, Kevin, you scientific guru, you.
Period when human brains evolved to get bigger, it is clear that plants form the basis of the diet.
No, it's not, though, Kevin. That's false. There is very, very little data available. There's a paucity. And there were, I'm quite sure, pockets of humanity living in various places of the world at various times who may have been doing something different to what the vast majority of humans were doing. Doesn't prove a damn thing.
There's no doubt that humans also ate meat during this period of time, but the evidence shows that humans have always eaten a large variety and quantity of plants.
No, the evidence does not show that, Kevin. Still. Doesn't matter how many times you say the evidence shows that that's so, it fucking doesn't. Still. Come back when you have more than 5 seconds of engagement as a trained scientist.
They are naturally omnivorous creatures. So,
according to whom, on the basis of what? And how are you defining omnivorous? Because that's an operational definition, which might differ between different operators, mightn't it? So again, with the opinions, and absolutely no empirical scientific data being alluded to even, except for the paucity of information available from the dentition of a few humans found in one particular area.
So, next up, let's go to number 9.
Oh, God, we're finally off number 1, and it's nearly halfway through your video. So number 1, Kevin says we never were hyper-carnivores. Wrong, Kevin, we were. Okay, so false. Let's see if any of your other 9 are correct.
Number 9 is the fact that, unlike true carnivores, eating meat causes atherosclerosis in humans.
No, it doesn't. False. We're done with that one. There is no evidence to support that claim extant anywhere in the literature. Anywhere. False.
True carnivorous animals like cats, and even omnivorous animals like bears and dogs, can eat as much meat as they want, but they never get atherosclerosis from eating meat.
How do you know? What are you basing that on?
But in the case of human beings, not only do we get atherosclerosis from eating meat,
No, we don't still. Doesn't matter how many times you say atherosclerosis is caused by eating meat, it still fucking isn't. One of us, Kevin, is a cardiovascular pathophysiologist, among other things. Guess which one of us that is, Kevin? I'll give you a hint. It's not fucking you. One of us is published in the area, Kevin, as a scientist. One of us taught cardiovascular pathophysiology at tertiary level, university level, for a number of years, Kevin. One of us did that. Which one of us do you think it was? Look back through your own history and see if it was you. You might be surprised. It wasn't.
it is the most common cause of death in the human species by quite a good margin.
Yes, atherosclerosis is part of the process under which a lot of people die, absolutely, but it's still not caused by eating meat.
Humans are the only species of organism on the planet where the most common cause of death is atherosclerotic heart disease. It's
So?
practically non-existent in other animals, and if it does
Yes, but so? What does that imply? What follows from that?
happen, it's usually in a controlled setting, like in a laboratory for a clinical study. The fact that humans are susceptible to atherosclerosis shows that humans are not carnivores.
No, it doesn't, Kevin. There is absolutely nothing to underpin that logic extant anywhere in the literature. There's only theology that suggests that to people as stupid as you are, who have a complete destitution of the comprehension to be able to read the literature and find out why that's not so. Still, what's next?
They are omnivores, but
No, they're not still, depending on how you define that.
until recently, it was not really clear why humans were more susceptible to atherosclerosis than
And
any
it still isn't to most humans. Most humans don't understand that still.
other animal. So why is it that no other animal gets
They
atherosclerosis?
do though, Kevin. It's just less common.
But in the case of humans, it is the most common cause of death by far.
Do you see how you've already said that? And it wasn't that long ago?
Well, that mystery has finally been solved.
Oh, good. I'm glad it's been solved. By whom?
The reason why is because during human evolution, humans actually lost a gene that other animals have, and the lack of this particular gene is tied to the production of atherosclerosis caused specifically by eating red meat.
No, it isn't, though, Kevin. There is no support for that theological opinion, be it a published opinion or not. There is no empirical scientific evidence to support the claim. It does not exist. And that is not the cause of atherosclerosis. Still.
Our human ancestors lost a gene to produce a specific acid in the body called NEU5GC. We lost this gene about 2 to 3 million years ago. Since humans don't produce NEU5GC, that means that when they eat foods that are high in NEU5GC, specifically red meat, the NEU5GC ends up triggering an inflammatory reaction due to the production of NEU5GC antibodies that not only trigger atherosclerosis, but can also cause colon cancer.
Except you've just used the word cause there, Kevin, and it's completely inappropriate because you've made about 15 dozen leaps of faith getting from here is a thing that can affect isolated cells in a test tube in a certain way to the cause of a disease process in free-living human beings. Do you see how that's several orders of magnitude of leaps of faith in there? You probably don't because you're an incompetent fucksplat. You're a ridiculous cunt. That's why. Okay? Here's the thing. If NEU5GC was a problem, then there would be a meaningful, unmistakable, large difference in the incidences of heart disease and cancer in human beings that eat a lot of red meat versus those that don't, all else being actually properly controlled. There is no data to support that claim. It's a leap of faith. It's a theology. It's not science. It doesn't even make sense. It's not even a hypothesis worth testing. Imbecile.
So when you hear people on the carnivore diet who eat steak and butter every day and claim that it's a species-specific diet,
That's because it is. Imbecile. Still.
they're completely full of shit.
No. In fact, you'll find it's the people that eat a lot of plant material that tend to be much more full of shit. Literally. See how that's an appropriate word of the term literally?
The carnivore diet is literally the least...
How did I fucking know? Oh, fuck me. All right, carry on.
species-specific diet a human being could possibly follow.
But see how that's an opinion? What you don't see, clearly, is that that's an opinion. Buffhead. Neither, fucksplat, can you see how ridiculous that opinion is. It's quite stunning.
And that is because it causes diseases in humans
You see, you're using the word, you're using that terminology again, causes. Show me an experimental study on human beings over multiple decades in a metabolic Ward-Lockin situation with everything controlled appropriately that establishes cause and effect as regards any disease process of any kind in humans. Shall we fucking wait? They do not fucking exist, Kevin. This is theology. This is not science, and you are a fucking imbecile, an arrogant imbecile with an ego problem who needs to shut the fuck up.
To a specific genetic mutation that occurred 2 to 3 million years ago that doesn't occur in any other animal on planet Earth. So, based on...
It still fucking does, Kevin. Saying it doesn't make that true. It still does. Other animals do get atherosclerosis, in fact.
On our genetics and evolution, we are not capable of eating red meat without developing atherosclerosis or colon cancer.
False. Absolutely, completely, utterly false. Nonsense.
So therefore, it is not an appropriate food for human beings. All right.
Garbage. Nonsense. Anti-scientific, theological claptrap from a fucking imbecile.
All right, let's move on to number 8.
Right, so he's given us two, both wrong. Demonstrably, absolutely, totally wrong, inappropriate theological statements without any support. Good. 8 to go. Jesus. Hurry up, son.
Research shows that the healthiest diets are mostly plant-based
No, it
diets.
doesn't. Healthy is an outcome. How do you define healthy? Let alone establish the cause of said health without controlling absolutely every aspect of the subject's lives from conception through to death in a lock-in situation. How are you going to do that, Kevin? Shall we fucking wait? You're talking about associations. You're talking about healthy user bias. You're talking about confounded, ridiculous, prospective cohort, anti-scientific claptrap, and not science again. So there you go. 1, 2, 3, all wrong. 7 to go.
This point follows my last point
No,
because
it doesn't.
it's clear that based on scientific evidence...
Ah, good. Scientific evidence. Shall we wait? Fuck me, this is incredible. By which I mean, Kevin, completely lacking in any credibility of any kind. You are an absolute waste of oxygen. Stop it.
that diets that are lower in red meat and more heavily plant-based are associated with better...
Ah! Are they? And what else is associated with people who are erroneously educated or miseducated that they should avoid red meat and eat a lot of plant material? Do those people drink less alcohol, smoke less, get more physical activity? Do they generally have more so-called education, ergo an easier life? Are they socio-economically generally... Okay, I could go on all day, couldn't I? We're done with that. Fuck right off, you fucking imbecile.
health outcomes and improved health biomarkers in every capacity imaginable.
Biomarkers, well, don't even get me started on that. I haven't got time today.
The Mediterranean diet, for example...
What's that, Kevin? Define that for us.
Is based on...
Because there are thousands of different peoples living around the Mediterranean who all eat a quite wide and disparate diet from one another. So which one is the Mediterranean diet? What are its characteristics exactly? And then show me some research which underpins its cause and effect relationship with any aspect of health in human beings. This is incredible, isn't it, Ted?
Are you retarded?
I think he is.
The traditional diet of various cultures that have lived around the Mediterranean Sea for thousands of years.
Yes, because they all eat exactly the same diet, as I've just established they don't. Good.
It is the only diet that has been consistently shown in multiple randomized controlled trials.
No, there are no randomized controlled trials on any aspect of health outcome as that relates to diet. They do not exist. If you want to talk about health markers, that's a completely different argument, because they're irrelevant, most of them. Because health markers, well, we're told a low level of LDL is a good thing, which it isn't. Okay? For example.
To lower the risk of
Risk,
cardiovascular
you say. There are no studies that can inform us on risk. Risk is a cause and effect inference. There are no cause and effect studies in existence anywhere. Fuck right off.
events. On the other hand, there are no studies showing any longevity benefits from carnivore or ketogenic diets.
Or any other form of diet, in fact. You're quite correct on that, but you should also expand that out to any form of diet whatsoever, because there are no cause and effect studies on longevity available. We're done. What's next?
None whatsoever.
Correct. None. None at all on any diet, still.
These diets all raise serum LDL cholesterol.
So what? I've just covered that. And by the way, LDL is not cholesterol, buffhead. And cholesterol is not LDL. So the fact that you say LDL cholesterol shows us quite clearly that you have absolutely no idea what you're talking about with lipidology, either. That's a shame for you.
And we know that increased LDL cholesterol correlates with the development of atherosclerosis.
No, we don't. There's not even a strong correlation, let alone a cause and effect relationship, Kevin. False again.
So all these diets will increase the risk of getting heart
No,
disease.
there you go with risk again. No, there are no studies to underpin a cause and effect claim such as risk. Still, none.
Also, there are areas on the planet
Oh,
called
fuck me, blue zones. Just, if anyone doubted, even for 1 second, that Kevin is completely lacking in credibility and an absolute fuck splat, an absolute cock lunch of the highest order, there we go. Blue zones, he says. Good. Blue zones would be a theological thing put together by a journalist, not even a scientist, who then went out to confirm his existing bias from the outset, which he did, or thinks he did. However, unfortunately, the blue zones have been debunked so many thousand times by actual scientists now that it's laughable, and anyone who says blue zones, though, is really just apt for our derision. So, there it is. We're done with that one as well.
blue zones, which have the greatest number of people living to over 100 years old.
Okay, prove that. Shall we wait for the adequate birth and death records that would establish that as a fact? And even if we could, because only one of those blue zones actually has that, would that be a population that is remotely representative of a general population? No, it's a theological population of people that live in Loma Linda who follow a certain theological set point. And did every one of those people live in a lock-in laboratory situation for their entire lives where every possible contributor to lifespan was controlled versus their matched pair genetically identical twins under identical circumstances other than the factor that you are claiming is the causal factor? Still no. Still not science. Still theological claptrap. You're still an absolute ignorant, arrogant buffhead.
So, what do all these blue zones have in common, you may ask? Well,
Not a damn thing.
they all follow a predominantly, but not exclusively, plant-based diet.
Even that's not true. So even that is not a correct statement. That is not so.
If humans were truly carnivores, then the longest-lived populations would not be the people who eat the most plants. That should be obvious. All right.
But only if you don't understand, as Kevin doesn't, that the multiple milieu of confounding, co-varying factors that lead at the end of the day to a person's lifespan make it impossible to tease out cause and effect. We can only speculate theologically, and that's what Kevin is doing. Ignorantly, from a standpoint of really not understanding dick about fuck.
All right, moving on to number 7. Humans cannot produce their own vitamin C like carnivores can, and meat is lacking in many essential vitamins and minerals.
Yes, but not vitamin C, because meat is not lacking in vitamin C. So there's that one dealt with. What's next?
Okay, so let's go ahead and start with vitamin C.
Yes, let's.
All true carnivorous animals produce their own vitamin C,
Except for human beings that don't. So there you go.
since meat generally lacks vitamin C.
No, it doesn't still. That's still false. Doesn't matter how many times you say meat lacks vitamin C, it still doesn't.
Of course, humans don't produce their own vitamin C. They have to get it from plant sources.
No, they don't, because there is still vitamin C in meat. Dickhead.
If you look at a table of significant dietary sources of vitamin C
We
from
don't need significant vitamin C, idiot. We need a very, very small amount of vitamin C. Luckily, that's exactly what we get from meat. That's why all the people on carnivorous diets aren't dropping dead from scurvy. You fucking imbecile. Shall we move on?
the NIH, you'll notice that all the sources are from plants. Meat contains...
That's because it's bought and paid for, isn't it? They like to pretend that meat doesn't contain any. It does. It just doesn't contain very much, and that's lucky because we don't need very much.
no vitamin C. One exception to this rule is from organ meat, which does have a very small amount of vitamin C, but not...
Just the level, the sheer level of ignorance exhibited by absolute cocksplats like this fuck monkey here. It's just stunning how it's possible that someone this fucking stupid could sit there and pretend to be an authority on a subject that he knows absolutely nothing about whatsoever. It's just the ego of these clowns. It's amazing to me.
nearly as much as what is found in plants. So it is possible to get vitamin C on a carnivore diet.
Yes, from the meat, the muscle meat, idiot. We don't need to eat organs at all. Still.
You eat organ meat.
No, you
but
don't need to eat organ meat. In fact, I don't think it's a very good idea. I don't think you should, personally. Well, most organs are okay if you must. I would suggest, however, that I don't personally believe, see, this is an opinion and I'm just claiming it as such. I don't believe, with good scientific backing, I believe that eating any amount of liver to speak of is a good idea. I don't think you should do that. And yet, I'm not dropping dead of scurvy. It's almost as if you don't know what you're fucking talking about, Kevin. Oh yeah, that's right.
it would have to be from raw organs since heat destroys vitamin C. So,
False.
carnivore diet...
It lessens the amount of vitamin C available, and if you apply enough heat to something for long enough, yes, it will destroy all of it. However, scurvy, in the case of a lack of vitamin C, develops over something like 6 to 8 weeks, Kevin. I did about 8 years of eating meat. Well done. Okay? I didn't get scurvy. How do we know? Well, I'm still here. Okay? I developed none of the symptoms of scurvy. It's almost as if what you're saying is a theological bunch of claptrap. Oh, yeah.
Dieters claim they don't need as much vitamin C in their diet.
It's not a claim, it's a fact. We understand the mechanism of this fact. It's to do with the GLUT4 transporter. Perhaps you should look that up.
As people on a plant-based diet because vitamin C is involved in carbohydrate metabolism and they don't consume a
No, that's not what we're saying, you idiot.
significant amount of carbohydrates, so therefore it's not a problem. However,
No, that's not what we're saying. You don't even understand the argument, you fucking idiot. Incredible. By which I mean lacking in credibility, Kevin.
let's not fool ourselves, Jones.
Yes, let's not fool ourselves. This idiot is not a valid source of reliable or even remotely correct information on the topic of human nutrition. Not even remotely close. This is an imbecile whose only skill is parroting mindlessly disinformation that he's been fed and lacks the critical thinking ability to see through. That's all. This is a trained monkey.
Vitamin C is still absolutely an essential vitamin, and it is
Yes, that's right, and nobody's saying it isn't. It is. We do require vitamin C. We do need to get it from our diet, and luckily, that's exactly what happens. Shall we move on?
not easy to get enough of it on a pure carnivore diet.
That's false, demonstrably. Absolutely no question. We're done with that. What's next?
Even if their mechanistic hypothesis is true. So,
It's not a hypothesis, it's a fact. How do we know it's a fact? Well, because we're not all dropping dead left, right, and centre from fucking scurvy, you ridiculous shit stain.
it's possible that some people on the carnivore diet will get enough vitamin C to avoid scurvy, and that's
Some of us, yes, that's right. Kevin, shall we wait while you outline to us the exact number of demonstrably identified cases of scurvy in carnivore-eating human beings have been reported in the literature in the last 10 years? I'll save you looking it up. Not fucking one. Okay, we're done. What is next?
Probably because most of them take vitamin C supplements.
No, we don't.
But
In fact, that's a very, very bad idea because excess vitamin C, in fact, breaks down to, a lot of people say it's just urinated out as it is. No. Well, a lot of it is, but it doesn't get rid of nearly all of it. The rest of it actually is metabolized to what? Oxalate. Okay? That's why we don't do it.
scurvy has still been reported to occur on extreme carnivore diets.
No, it hasn't.
So it definitely can still happen.
No, there's nothing in the literature to support that claim. And splashing up the front page of a paper that purports something like that for less than 3 seconds will not establish your point, you idiot.
But one very important point the carnivore cult seems to forget
Yes, we're a cult now.
is that just because you're eating enough vitamin C to prevent scurvy, that does not mean that you're eating optimal levels of vitamin C for health overall.
According to whom, on the basis of what? Should we wait for that? Or are you going to give us your theologically based, anti-scientifically based opinion again? You untrained imbecile with no right to publicly espouse any kind of opinion whatsoever, in fact.
Vitamin C is not just about stopping scurvy.
Well, correct. What else is it about?
It's also a very powerful antioxidant.
Ah, right. So do we need dietary antioxidants? No, we don't. Okay, that's that one dealt with. What's next?
It's important for wound healing. It has a
Yes, indeed. By way of it being involved in the production of collagen, yes?
strong anti-aging effect since it helps
Tell you what, though, I heal pretty quickly when I injure myself. It's almost as if I don't have a vitamin C deficiency after something like 12 years of a basically carnivorous diet without any significant intake of vitamin C to speak of. I wonder how that happened.
collagen production of the skin. It also boosts the immune system.
Yes, I'm always sick. Oh, that's right, I never am.
It helps with the absorption of certain minerals
I
like
can't remember the last time I was unwell. Tell you what, when I was eating a plant-based diet with a lot of vitamin C in it, I was unwell all the time. Literally. Again, there's an appropriate word of the literally. Literally all the time I was unwell. Now I'm not. N equals 1, just an anecdote, mind. That's probably because I'm an alien and don't have human genes.
iron. So to put this all into perspective, if
Yes, good. Why don't you give us a perspective, you well-trained individual you?
compare the vitamin C content from a single serving of liver to a single orange, a 100-gram single
What
serving
is the point of this? We are labouring under the false assumption that the recommended daily intake of vitamin C is based in science. It isn't. That's a number thrown at the thing by a board of individuals who are asked to throw a number at it. What experiments underpin it, Kevin? Show me the experimental evidence that underpins the RDI for vitamin C. Shall we wait for that? No, again? Oh, okay.
serving of liver has about 1.3 milligrams of vitamin C.
Oh, God, this boy is boring, isn't he? Boring and stupid and egotistical.
A single orange, on the other hand, has about 70 milligrams of vitamin C.
Yeah, so fucking what?
I know there is some dispute about this, but even the most optimistic sources show that raw liver doesn't have nearly as much vitamin C as what is found in plants.
Nobody's arguing that it does. We know it doesn't. We don't care. Because your false assumption that we need a huge amount of vitamin C to be optimally healthy is wrong. Demonstrably. Okay, can we move on now?
The recommended daily dose of vitamin C
Which
is
is not based in science, as I've said.
about 90 milligrams per day. So even if you ate nothing but raw liver, you still wouldn't get anywhere close to that number. You
And yet we're not dropping dead of scurvy. Are we done? Good, okay. Logic, though.
may get enough vitamin C to stop scurvy, but if you want to experience all the other great benefits of vitamin C,
What, you mean like not getting ill ever, which I don't, to speak of? Can't remember the last time. Having slow wound healing, which I don't have. I heal very well. What else?
then eat some damn fruit. If
No, don't eat some damn fruit. It's full of fibre and fructose, neither of which really have any business in the human enteric system.
humans were actually carnivores, then they
They
would
actually are still, because the nitrogen 14-15 isotope testing still establishes that, even though you don't like it.
didn't need to eat vitamin C at all, since true carnivores produce their own vitamin C.
Yeah,
Like
some of them do, and some of them don't. Do you notice how different animals have different ways of interacting with the world and have evolved along different lines? See how that works?
Like I said earlier, we can't do that though. Humans have lost the
Yes,
enzyme.
you've said this. We know it. We understand that humans can't make their own vitamin C. We don't care. We don't need to make our own vitamin C. We can derive it from our diet, and we do. What's next?
That most other animals have to synthesize vitamin C on their own. We have to eat our own vitamin C.
Yes, yes, we know that, and that's exactly how we do it.
The best source of vitamin C by far comes from plants.
According to you. But so what? Who's to say that too much vitamin C is the best? Because it isn't. Go and look up oxalate.
Particular citrus fruits. But as it turns
Also, the gene for the production of vitamin C is completely knocked out of the human genome. Why is that, do you think? Why is that knocked out? Only a negative selection pressure can do that. Okay, so if you knew anything about genetics, you'd understand that it's knocked out for a reason. Okay?
turns out, the lack of vitamin C is only a small part of a much bigger problem with the carnivore diet.
Oh, good, because we're still waiting for a single problem. You've said 3 things, and they've all been wrong. Or is it 4 we're up to? I don't know how many are left, but they've all been wrong, and I know the rest are going to be wrong too. But let's go.
Meat is not only lacking in vitamin C, it is also lacking in vitamin E.
It's not lacking in either vitamin C or vitamin E, in fact. Both of those statements are false. Wrong again, Kevin.
Vitamin K1, fiber,
Are you telling us meat doesn't contain vitamin K1? My word, my word. Thank you for the $9.99. I presume they're American not redbacks. Greenbacks. We like those. Well, if they're California ones, they're redbacks, aren't they? Are there any lifts you think are bad besides barbell bench press? Yes, I think that the leg press machine is extremely dangerous, the 45-degree incline leg press machine, if it doesn't have a top lock that you can set a lockout before your knees straighten. There you go. What's next, Kevin?
calcium, and magnesium.
No, it's not lacking in calcium or magnesium either, Kevin. No, they're both false statements as well.
Of course, in the case of fiber, carnivores will claim that it has no benefits because it's not a real nutrient.
That's not the reason that there are no benefits. It's just a statement of fact. Fiber is contraindicated for a slew of reasons in the human enteric system. Clearly, they are reasons that you don't understand, Kevin.
And even though it is true that we don't actually derive any nutrition from fiber...
That's not, well, directly that's true, but it's not, that statement isn't even true because there is some breakdown of fiber mediated by bacteria in our colons that can release some saturated short-chain fatty acid.
Fiber still plays a very important role in the gut microbiome
No,
because
it doesn't. That's a theology as well. A complete theology.
it reduces the risk of colon cancer.
Now, again, with the risk statement, there are no studies that can inform us on risk of any heart health outcome in human beings as that relates to any aspect of diet. Still, false again.
Fiber also lowers LDL cholesterol.
Well, we've dealt with that. Number 1, it's not cholesterol, and number 2, that's a bad idea.
It speeds up digestion, helps...
No, it doesn't. It slows it down, if anything, in fact. Completely 180 degrees out of phase with the reality again, Kevin.
Contribute to satiety so we don't overeat.
No, tell you what, if you want to not overeat, make your diet consist of meat and animal fat, plus or minus eggs, plus or minus dairy. See how, good luck overeating on that. Where you go.
And it also lowers blood glucose and can help prevent diabetes.
Well, so can not eating any carbohydrates. That does both of those things too.
So, just because we don't derive calories from fiber...
We don't derive calories at all from anything ever. It's physically impossible, Kevin. It's against the laws of physics. Can't be done.
doesn't mean it's not beneficial. We don't derive
But it's not beneficial demonstrably. Simple as that.
calories from water either, but I doubt anyone would say that water's not beneficial. Now,
Do you see how that's a complete non sequitur and has absolutely no bearing on this argument whatsoever? It's just ridiculous. That's the best you could do? Fucking imbecile.
I know the carnivore dipshits are already writing...
Yeah, it's really clear who the dipshit is here. You fucking shit stain. You arrogant, ignorant fucking shit stain.
in the comment section right now, oh yeah, well vegans have to supplement B12, so haha. Now, I know carnivores who are watching this video would absolutely love to make this a vegan versus carnivore culture war, but unfortunately for them, this
No, couldn't give a shit.
isn't a vegan video. Carnivores will always try to make everything they talk about a vegan versus carnivore culture war debate.
Yes, always. Another false statement, because I don't.
But what they're forgetting is that you don't have to be a vegan to realize that the carnivore diet is stupid.
No, you have to be an imbecile to think for a second that it's stupid. You have to be an ignorant, arrogant, miseducated imbecile to believe that for a second. And that's what you are, Kevin.
A lot of non-vegans have actually criticized the carnivore diet.
Who gives a rip-roaring fuck?
And besides, if carnivores are all so against supplements, then why?
Plus, you know, just take one look at Mike Israel. Is he someone you'd take health advice from? Just take one look. We're done, before he opens his mouth.
Why do they sell them? I swear, 90% of these carnivore grifters are selling shitty, overpriced electrolyte supplements on all their channels.
So what? Everybody on YouTube that wants to make a living out of YouTube has to sell something, because you cannot make a living on YouTube unless you are one of the very few people who somehow manages to get on the right side of Al Gore and his rhythms and get millions and millions and millions of subs. There is no living to be had otherwise. You have to sell something. Otherwise, we do not exist here. By the way, you should go and buy Cerule, because it's great. It does exactly what it says it does. It's a stem cell enhancer, and that's a good thing. You'll find a link wending its way across the bottom of the stream right now. There you go, there's the bills paid. Stem cell nutrition, order now, it says. https://bkoynutrition.cerule.com. Not a nutritional supplement, it's a nutraceutical. It has a specific effect. That is, it causes your bone marrow to release your adult stem cells, whereupon they go around your body and do magics. Also, you can send flood repair donations, it says, to my PayPal, so that we can fix the place up. It having been smashed by 2 200-year floods in 2 weeks. Something wrong with that math, isn't there? And also, if you want to follow Ted, good old Ted, who's been busy the whole time twiddling the knobs, haven't you, Ted? Yes, I've been twiddling the knobs. You can follow him on X, at HRH_Ted, and you'll learn all about next Tuesday.
Also, no one is claiming here that a vegan diet is a species-specific diet.
Good, because that's even stupider than claiming carnivore is stupid.
If the carnivore diet is indeed a species-specific diet, as
which we've established with the nitrogen 14-15 isotope testing, Kevin, still, whether you like that or not, still.
They always claim, it should contain all the nutrients that are necessary without taking supplements.
And luckily it does. Isn't that great?
Of course, the easiest way to get all the nutrients you need is to make sure plants are part of your diet.
No, that's wrong. That's another theological statement. That's another opinion statement, and there's no science to underpin that statement. All the required nutrients for a human being on a daily basis are contained in meat and fat. Muscle meat, that is.
All right, let's go ahead and move on to number 6.
Jeez,
number 6.
We've only done 3, and they've all been wrong. Okay.
Is the fact that plants are very high in phytonutrients that help...
A buzz term, phytonutrients. Please name me one single required phytonutrient that we cannot thrive without. Kevin, shall we wait for that? All right, fuck off. So number 6 is wrong too. What's next?
Fight cancer and heart disease.
No, fight cancer and heart disease are cause and effect statements. They're not underpinned by any science. You imbecile.
So, just to name off a few of them, we have carotenoids found in foods like...
Yes, that would be like the form of omega-3, basically, that plants contain a lot. It's not omega-3, you idiot. I can get your facts right. Of vitamin A that is contained in plants. And humans can't particularly transmute carotenoids into retinol. Not to any meaningful degree. You'd have to eat buckets and buckets and buckets of carrots every day to get anywhere near the so-called RDI. Wouldn't you? So fuck right off, idiot.
Carrots, tomatoes, and sweet potatoes. Flavonoids found in berries, citrus fruits, and dark chocolates. Lycopene, which is found in tomatoes, watermelon, and grapefruit. And this is just barely...
none of those are required nutrients for human beings at all. None of them.
Scratching the surface here, chums. There have been over 10,000 of these phytonutrients identified thus far.
And none of them are necessary, because human beings can live a long and fruitful life without ever having a single plant or any plant material of any kind pass their lips. Still.
They all have antioxidant,
The best way to get antioxidant activity, boys and girls, is to ground yourself electrically to the earth. The idea that we require antioxidants from our diet is again a theology put forward by recent science deniers, pseudoscientific claptrapperists, that is. In fact, there is a suite of antioxidants that our body generates itself. Most of those are protein-based, by the way. And you are actually designed by natural selection pressures to live a life where you are connected electrically to the earth. So this is a theology.
Inflammatory and antimicrobial and anti-cancer properties.
No, there are no anti-cancer things that are definitely anti-cancer established anywhere with experimental evidence anywhere on the planet of any kind still. Skip the ad.
Meanwhile, meat is high in advanced glycation end products.
No, it isn't. Not inherently, not necessarily. False. Again, another theological statement based in fantasy.
Also known as AGEs. The Carnivore clowns look
AGEs. What does the G stand for, by the way, there, Kevin? Advanced glycation end products. Ah, glycation. Do you know what glycation refers to, Kevin, by the way, at all? No, I thought not.
to talk about anti-nutrients found in plants like lectins and oxalates, but the fact is that those are not found in sufficient enough quantities in plant foods to be clinically significant. And
according to whom, on the basis of what? You say something's a fact. You want to establish that fact with reference to any kind of literature that establishes that fact? No, you want to give us theological claptrap. Again, stunning.
they're broken down through cooking and preparation of plant foods. In the case of AGEs,
Not all of them.
though, they actually increase with cooking. So cooked meat is actually worse for you than raw meat.
No, there are no studies to underpin that claim whatsoever, extant anywhere in the literature. Worse for you, that's a hard health outcome claim. There are no studies to support that claim, none.
AGEs are linked to type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular disease, dementia, depression, schizophrenia, and premature aging.
Yes, and shark attacks are connected with the sale of ice creams. Does that mean we deal with the shark attack scourge by outlawing the sale of ice cream? No? Okay, fuck off, imbecile.
So, if you've ever wondered why most carnivore dieters look like wrinkly human tomato hybrids,
No, they don't, though. They don't at all. That's false. That's theological claptrap. It's noise. It's insulting to the intelligence even of the people who are stupid enough to watch your channel, Kevin. You want to see who looks like shit? Go and have a look at some vegan videos. Yes, I'm turning it into an us versus vegans. So he's clearly right, as Kevin.
or they have to spend over $100,000 to make their face look aesthetically presentable the way Michaela Peterson did, then that's why. It's because of AGE.
Okay, everybody should go and report this video to YouTube's for having made that statement there. You're not allowed to refer to somebody's appearance directly and make fun of it. It's against YouTube policies. Please go and report Kevin's original video to YouTube. Thank you.
Additionally, meat is also very high in uric acid, which contributes to
No, it isn't.
kidney stones and can also cause gout.
No. Again, with the cause and effect statement and the false statement around an acid, which doesn't necessarily exist in the form of an acid whatsoever. Again, an understanding of basic chemistry would be helpful before you start making public statements about things like acid. Wouldn't it, James Denicoli? No nuts. Yeah.
Oxalates found in certain plants like spinach can cause kidney stones rarely,
Again, with the cause statement, no.
but oxalates get broken down by cooking. Uric
Yeah, some of them do.
acid, on the other hand, goes up with cooking because cooking meats breaks down purines into...
No, it doesn't though, because again, you're making a false statement about an acid. What's the K value of uric acid, son? Or the PK value? Either will do. Do you even know what that is? James Denicoli, no nuts, clearly doesn't.
uric acid, thus making cooked meat even more likely to cause kidney stones than
No, again with the cause and effect statement and a likelihood statement, not supportable with evidence. Still, sorry about that.
raw meat. So for all the hype about anti-nutrients, it turns out that the
Yes, let's pick the lowest common denominator, the most stupid, imbecilic, ill-trained person who purports to support a carnivore diet anywhere in the YouTube gambit of this. We're talking about that bloke who can't even spell his name without using a number. Let's go to that guy, take the piss out of him, and tar all carnivores with the same brush, shall we? You ridiculous shit stain.
type of food that has the type of anti-nutrients that actually causes damage to our bodies comes from meat.
No, it doesn't, still. No amount of theologically stating an opinion will make that opinion correct. It still isn't.
Not plants. Okay, let's move on to number 5. Human saliva contains salivary amylase.
Yes, it does. So what?
Pure carnivores don't have any salivary amylase.
It depends on how long in the genetic lineage that particular species has been carnivore and whether they have any ancestors at all who survived on plant material to any degree. We did. We come from a lineage of plant eaters, some 5 million years ago or more. There is no negative selection pressure that would knock that out, ergo it remains. So your point falls flat. There's no point to be gained here. So number 5, wrong. So number 1, wrong. Number 2, wrong. Number 3, wrong. Number 4, wrong. And number 5, wrong. 5 to go. Are you going to get anything right?
And that's because salivary amylase breaks down complex carbohydrates like starches. Studies show that carnivores do not have
Studies show...
salivary amylase.
No, studies show that some carnivores, most carnivores, those that have been carnivore for a long time in evolutionary terms, don't have it. Well, so fucking what?
On the other hand, all omnivorous animals do, including humans. So, if humans were truly a carnivorous species...
Yes, we still are, because a carnivore is an animal that eats any amount of other animals. Be that hyper-carnivore or be that minimally carnivore, if an animal eats any amount of other animals, it is a carnivore. You fucking imbecile.
Why would they produce an enzyme that helps us break down starch, which
Because there's no negative selection pressure to knock it out still. It's still the same answer.
comes exclusively from plant-based foods? Now, I have heard some...
Ah, right. So, there's no starch in muscle meat, is there not? Yes, there is. Wrong again, dickhead.
Some carnivore dimwits try to counter this by...
Yes, we know who the dimwit is. It's very clear who it is that's lacking in wit and brightness. You fucking imbecile. You absolute arrogant tosspot.
Mentioning how carnivores produce amylase in the pancreas, but that's misleading. The only reason some carnivores have anti-pancreatic amylase is because they occasionally ingest some plant material in the stomachs of the herbivores they eat. And this...
The word is still herbivore, not herbivore. And again, you're giving us an opinion, sunshine. It's an ill-trained, ignorant and arrogant opinion based on nothing scientific whatsoever. What makes you think for a second that anything you have to say is worth listening to, other than your severe ego problem?
This amylase helps them digest this trace amount of plant material. Humans, though, naturally have a diet that is rich in plants, and
No,
so
they don't still.
humans have both salivary amylase and pancreatic amylase that
Because it's not knocked out, because there's nothing to knock it out still.
digest this major food source. That's why cats who belong to vegans who feed them a vegan diet will often die young, because cats actually are carnivores.
Do you notice how we're not cats? We're a different sort of carnivore to what cats are. And hagfishes are different from the both of us again. And bears, well, they're omnivores, aren't they, Ted?
No, I'm a carnivore. Are you retarded?
Ted, you just go and twiddle the knobs like a good boy.
Like human beings. Okay, time for number 4.
Right, so 6, wrong. Ignorant, again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all wrong. 4 to go.
Humans lack traits that are typical of carnivorous animals. We have a longer intestine, jaws that can move...
What's a typical carnivorous animal, you absolute buffhead? You ridiculous imbecile. What is a typical carnivore?
I decide which is a trait that is better suited for chewing plants as opposed to carnivores that just bite...
All right, so sharp pointy teeth, right, good. Okay, so you're wrong on this one as well. So that's 7 out of 7, completely wrong, good.
up and down and swallow without much chewing. We also lack natural anatomical features common on carnivorous animals like night vision and claws.
All right. Somebody tell the hagfish that it can't possibly be a carnivore because it doesn't have good night vision or claws. Or any teeth at all, in fact. Or a long intestine. Sorry, hagfish. This buffhead here, being an expert in all manner of things that he's not an expert in whatsoever, has determined that you are not possibly a carnivore because, you see, you lack the typical characteristics of a typical carnivore, whatever the purple fuck that is. Good.
Like I already mentioned, the meat that we evolved eating in early times was likely carrion meat, which explains our stomach acidity, and it also may explain why humans generally don't enjoy killing animals even though they like the taste of meat. It's because the meat we ate prehistorically came from animals that are already dead. And
Right, so psychology has nothing to do with it. In fact, we're also the only animal intelligent enough, it seems, to have any real understanding of the ramifications of killing something, or to have any kind of sense at all that they have any kind of what people refer to as a soul or whatever, or a sense of right and wrong and ethics and all of that. And animals don't have that except us. See how that makes us different from all other animals in that respect? In the same way that the hagfish is very, very well adapted to its carnivorous lifestyle in a way that's suitable for it. It doesn't need any of those things. Okay? My God, this guy is stupid.
Funny enough, that's something that hasn't changed in the slightest. Most people today cannot comfortably eat meat unless it is already dead and someone kills the meat for them. True carnivorous animals, on the other hand, will eat their prey when they are still in the process of dying. And
right, well, did somebody tell the hagfish that too? Because hagfish don't hunt and kill animals either. But they are still 100% carnivorous, 100%. They live on the carcasses of dead whales, mostly. Okay? Fuck off with your ridiculous, theological, ill-conceived fucking nonsense, you cocksplat. You fucking offensive cunt. Fuck right off.
they won't even feel a shred of remorse for their prey, no matter how much they are suffering. If humans were truly carnivores, then
we still fucking are, whether you like it or not. Still.
Humans would not be bothered by animal cruelty, but we are. Most people are absolutely disgusted by it. They just don't have to think about it when...
So now we're conflating the killing of an animal for food with cruelty. Which is a ridiculous conflation, isn't it? Yes, it is. What's next? Anyone that supports cruelty, ongoing cruelty of any kind, or insensitivity in the way that an animal is dispatched for food, is not a good person in my books, but it doesn't mean they're not a carnivore. They still are. Biologically, that is what we are still.
Someone else kills the animal for them. And I'll get more into that point a little bit later, but let's go ahead and move on to number 3.
Right, so 7 out of 7 wrong, stupid, ignorant, arrogant, completely vapid and lacking, destitute, all 7. 3 to go.
Meat is good for short-term survival and may have been a good source of calories in prehistoric...
No, still we can't consume calories. So wrong again. 7 out of 7, 8 out of 8. Whatever it is.
times, but the paradigm has shifted dramatically these days. Now, we live in a world of complete abundance. The food that was once optimal for survival in ancient times is now detrimental for our longevity
No,
in
it isn't.
modern times.
No, it isn't. That's a theology.
First of all, if you go to any Walmart in the United States...
So what there that we're seeing on the screen there, what of that is food? None of it.
It's very easy to see that we are no longer living in a world where it is difficult to get enough calories.
Again, you can't get any calories because you can't consume any calories still. That's still against the laws of physics, which is clear that you still don't understand, you absolute ignorant cunt.
Calorie-dense food is no longer an advantage for human beings, at least not in the developed world.
There is no such thing as a calorie-dense food. That is a theology.
It is now a disadvantage since far more people are killing themselves through overconsumption than
Overconsumption of what, though? What is the overconsumption that is causing, or apparently causing, the deaths of these people? It's not meat. It's not animal fat that's doing that. That's demonstrable. That's clear. Absolutely crystal clear. What is doing it? Well, it's the kind of stuff we're seeing on the screen right now. That's what's doing it. This is supposed to be an anti-meat eating video, an anti-carnivory video. How is this in line with your argument, you mindless idiot?
Consumption. Secondly, now that our lifespan has been extended through improved hygiene, vaccines,
No.
antibiotics, and other discoveries of modern medicine, the fact that a high meat diet causes premature atherosclerosis
It doesn't. Still.
is much more problematic for us as a
Well,
species.
it would be if it was true. Sadly for you, dickhead, it isn't true.
The human lifespan has improved significantly, just in the last 50 years in fact.
Watch what's going to happen in the next 5 to 10. Just keep an eye on that ball, boys and girls. See what happens.
And it is way beyond the average lifespan of prehistoric humans especially. And
According to whom, on the basis of what?
This is true.
And what factors are involved in that? Is it diet? Largely, or are there other things that were probably more problematic for prehistoric man?
Even if you discount the high infant mortality rate of previous eras. So, with humans living into their 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and beyond, the fact that the incidence of atherosclerosis increases exponentially with age
Yes.
means that as we get older, we are more and more likely to have atherosclerosis.
Yes. And any number of other disease processes that we might be predisposed to for some reason.
That means a greater risk of heart attack, stroke, and peripheral vascular disease.
Yes.
To reduce the risk of
Here
atherosclerosis,
we go.
we can exercise, treat high blood pressure and diabetes, and most importantly, reduce LDL cholesterol.
No. Correct up until that last assertion. No. Number one, LDL is still not cholesterol buffhead. And two, cholesterol or LDL or any aspect of the lipoproteins, none of them play a causal role in heart disease whatsoever still. Wrong.
Levels, which is directly related to the risk of atherosclerosis.
No, it isn't. Again, with the risk statement, which is not underpinned by experimental science, fuck off still.
Meat contains a lot of saturated fat,
Yes, what's that got to do with cholesterol?
and saturated fat in the diet raises LDL cholesterol, and
Really? Because LDL cholesterol doesn't exist still.
so it increases the risk of atherosclerosis.
No. Again, with the risk statement, not underpinned by any experimental science whatsoever, still a theology, still false, fuck off still.
The carnivore diet completely ignores this fact, and the only reason
No, it doesn't, because it's not a fact. You can't ignore a fact that isn't a fact. What we're ignoring is the disinformation espoused by ill-trained and untrained individuals such as yourself, Kevin, with no understanding of the science, the etiology, the biological processes leading to the development of atherosclerotic heart disease. You are not in a position to comment on this. You are not a trained cardiovascular pathophysiologist. I am.
most carnivore dieters are still alive today is because it is a relatively new fad diet, and
Yes, a new fad diet that we've been undertaking for 5 million fucking years. Good. Do you even for a second engage the 1 or 2 brain cells that you actually have, Kevin, before you open your ridiculous, stinking shithole mouth? Is there even a second of self-checking before you say such ridiculous, absolutely crazy nonsense? No? I thought not.
atherosclerosis takes a long time to develop.
Yes.
In fact, I think it is safe to say that the only period in human history where there have ever been humans who ate a purely carnivorous diet is right now. This
All right, somebody go and tell the Inuit all about that.
is not something that any sane people in the past would have.
Ah, right. So sanity is now linked to believing your theology because you believe it, having provided absolutely no scientific backing for it whatsoever, purely because it does not fucking exist. Good.
Ever considered to be a healthy diet, nor is it something that humans would ever naturally gravitate towards.
Except they do and did for 5 million fucking years still.
Which brings me to my next point. Number 2,
Ah, good. So we haven't got a single thing right yet. 2 to go.
people enjoy eating plants.
Some of them do. So what? People also enjoy taking cocaine, drinking alcohol, and all sorts of other self-destructive things. People are hedonistic. What's your point?
If you watch any carnivore diet video like those from the Steak and Butter Gal, they often
Yeah, because she's the only one that's in there. That and the guy that can't spell his name without a number. Nobody else exists. Just those two.
show some kid who was offended when offered some broccoli.
It's almost as if the instinct of the kid is good, and the instinct tells that kid that that's not food. Ever think of that, buffhead? No, of course not. Of course you didn't.
He shakes his head and refuses. So, from this, Steak and Butter Gal concludes that people naturally want to eat meat and they hate to eat vegetables. That's because they think that meat is the natural diet for humans and plants are unnatural for us to eat.
You don't know what Steak and Butter Gal thinks. You are in no position to profess on her thought processes in any way, shape or form. How dare you, you arrogant, offensive cunt.
Eat because we're naturally carnivores. Of course,
They're still naturally carnivores, whether you like it or not, still.
if you offer that same kid some Skittles and Sour Patch Kids, he'd push the meat away immediately and eat the sugar first.
Of course, I wonder why that is.
So why the hell are we basing our diet on what some bratty kids like to eat? The truth is that these
Or we could just listen to you, pal, because you're clearly a world-leading expert on all matter of science, physiology, nutrition. You arrogant cunt.
carnivore dieters are projecting. Their parents
Ah, yes, it's us that's projecting. Of course we are.
never taught them to eat vegetables when they were kids, so they now think that everyone else must hate vegetables too.
Every time I hit a bottleneck, I build a new AI employee to crush it.
I used to say that I had one AI employee.
But if people naturally craved meat and only meat, then who is forcing
Who said only meat? I didn't. I've never said that.
99% of the population to eat both meat and plants, or even just plants alone in some circumstances?
99% of the population do what they're told to do. In all aspects of life. Even if it's not a good idea. Don't they?
Carnivore dieters don't seem to think that it's possible that most people actually don't want to eat a meat-only diet and actually prefer having some plants in their diet.
So who gives a rip-roaring fuck about what the preferences of people are as that relates to what is the biological design and the optimal diet for a human being? There is no connection. People prefer, often, to do self-destructive things because there's a payoff of some kind in the short term. So fucking what?
Like having a baked potato with their meat, or some string beans, asparagus, or even some broccoli. People eat these foods because they enjoy them.
No, they don't, generally. They're probably fooling themselves. Maybe some people genuinely do enjoy them. All sorts of people enjoy all sorts of crazy shit though, don't they? Doesn't make it right. Preference has got nothing to do with biological design.
The greatest and most cherished cuisines from countries all over the world feature dishes that are rich in fruits and vegetables.
So fucking what?
Dishes from Asia, the Middle East, Italy, France, Spain, Mexico, etc. They all feature scrumptious, delectable dishes that
Opinions. More opinions. Good.
include plants because people don't want to just eat a boring slab of meat all the time.
Some do. And, well, bully for them.
Plants add flavor to dishes that meat cannot provide, like sweet, spicy, as well as certain umami flavors.
Yes, and meat provides a flavour that plants can't. Do you see how that works? Meat and plants are not the same thing. Fuck me, what's next?
Oh, most people even season their meat with plants like...
So, your whole point here is no point whatsoever. Once again. So, 9 out of 9, wrong. Because the title of your video indicates that you're going to give us 10 reasons why the carnivore diet is unnatural and unhealthy. And you haven't provided one, let alone 10.
peppers and hot sauce. So let's face it, people like eating plants because they are part of an omnivorous diet.
So fucking what? People like to drink alcohol because it's part of a good social scene, they say. People like to take drugs because reality's not great, it seems, for some people. So what? Does that mean we're natural drug takers? And we should naturally take drugs or drink alcohol? No.
And we naturally want to eat them because they taste good. People make their own decisions, of course, on what they like to eat. And aside from the small cult of carnivore dieters,
yes, a small cult.
People actually choose to eat vegetables.
So, they also choose to drink alcohol, take drugs, and undertake a whole bunch of other self-destructive behaviors. Still.
If we were free to choose what we eat, practically everyone on Earth chooses to eat an omnivorous diet because that is our species-specific diet.
Or mostly because actually that's what we're trained to do from a very, very young age and told to do from a very, very young age. And that doesn't make it the natural thing at all. Does it? Because the natural thing is still what we've done for the vast majority of our existence on this planet as a species, and that is still, Kevin, eating meat and animal fat almost exclusively.
That's why most carnivore dieters end up quitting the diet because humans naturally want to eat plants.
No, that's not the reason. And most carnivore dieters don't end up quitting. It's a minority that quit. And they quit usually because, well, in this case specifically as well, but also quite generally, it's because they listen to people with actually no business professing and saying anything about this, following the cults of people that really don't know anything about carnivore diets or human nutrition or anything. Like Dr. Paul Sellard, I don't know. Well, not really a Dr. Paul Sellard, I don't know. Lily listened to Paul. That's what she did wrong. Well, what she did wrong was applying things to her diet that Paul suggested was a good idea for her. It wasn't. That's why she quit. Nothing to do with whether the carnivore diet is a species-appropriate, species-specific diet, because it still is. Love you, Lily, but you're an idiot.
Okay, so now, finally, let's get to number 1.
Oh, good, because 9 out of 9 fails so far. We're finally at number 1 or number 10, depending on which way counting goes. Let's see whether this one is valid, because 9, no.
The number 1 reason why humans are not carnivores is because humans have empathy.
All right, well, we're done. 10 out of 10, fail. Complete fail. Right, there it is. I'm not even going to listen to his explanation on that because it's not even worth hearing. And this has been long enough already. I'm done. It's 2.5 hours. Goodness gracious. What an absolute waste of skin this ridiculous, mindless cunt is. What an arrogant, offensive, ignorant clown this is. Why anyone would listen to this turd, basically on any topic, would stun me. I've got no idea why anyone would listen to this at all, other than as part of an educational program where I'm putting it right, as I have done today. Your pleasure, my pleasure, I mean. Your pleasure is your own business. Ted's got, oh, there you go. Ted's got my pleasure under control, haven't you, Ted?
No? Are you retarded?
That's what I thought. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for participating in the chat. I know I haven't brought many of your comments up during this because I've been busy dealing with Ted and his nonsense, frankly, and this other clown here, Kevin. But yeah, thanks for being here. Thanks, King Harry Louse, for dropping in. Nice to see you. It's been a pleasure spending time with you as usual. I won't be around very much in the next few weeks because, as I said, I've got my sister and a couple of nieces here, so we're kind of showing them the ropes and the whips and the chains and stuff around here in Pimbatia, putting them to work. We are. Don't salt mines. That's what they're doing, working away. And I'll be back with you after that. I'll still be around. I'm not going to completely disappear for 3 weeks, but there'll be less of it. That's why it's a longer one today, because you need some more grist for your meals, just to remind you that I'm still alive and still kicking. All right, there it is. Join me next time when someone else will be wrong on interwebs, because it doesn't look like slowing down, does it? In the meantime, I think you all know what happens at this stage of the show. Basically what happens is we all stand and salute, and we loudly sing the national anthem of the independent nation of Pimbatia, which goes a little bit something like this. Steak and eggs and eggs and steak. That's what you should have for your breakfast. Delicious. Eggs and steak and steak and eggs. Just making sure you heard. I think they got it, Ted.
Yes, they got it! Right, you can all bugger off now. Those of you that were late to class, don't forget to report down the back for some mistreatment. Right, bye!
Right, that's quite enough silliness for one day, and then some.